out tonight and vote for him. This is going to be crucial to him getting momentum in this race, as he has recently fallen to third in the polls. He has held that distant second place throughout, and now he's dropped to third. So it's going to be really important for him, for his supporters, to come out tonight and vote. They've said, the campaign has said that supporters here on the ground have shown a lot of tremendous support for Governor Ron DeSantis, but they need them to come out and vote. And this is going to help him to gain some momentum as we go forward into New Hampshire. Now, we're going to be here with Governor Ron DeSantis, as he says he's in this for the long haul and he's not dropping out of the race. So we're going to be here with him for the long haul. We're going to be giving you live updates as they come in. We're going to have interviews, and we'll be back probably every hour to tell you what's going on here and how the mood is in the room. So far, it's been cautiously optimistic. People are counting on those supporters that they've seen at many of these rallies where they've had packed houses. And a lot of supporters have said they want a clear alternative, and they think Governor Ron DeSantis is the one. So we'll have to see later on whether or not he can get those votes and get the people out here to show that he's the clear alternative. Back to you.
Arlene, thank you so much for that.
And now to our panel, former presidential campaign policy advisor Bart Marcois and retired Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Bart, I'll start with you. Looking at most polls, it looks like Trump's got Iowa pretty much in the bag, leading by 30 points in some cases. DeSantis and Haley both vying for second and third. Do you think that the polls are going to ultimately get this right at the end of the night?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm not going to fall into that trap. That's a sneaky trick to try to make me make a prediction right off the bat. But I will say what we're playing here, what they're all playing for here, is to beat the expectations. The final poll shows Trump 48, Nikki Haley 20, DeSantis 16, if I haven't gotten that mixed up. And if any one of them can outperform that, or if any one of them seriously underperforms that, then that's news and it turns into a big, big deal.
Lieutenant, I want to get your thoughts. Do you think that where is kind of the benchmark for DeSantis if he's really going for second? Where does he have to come in order to continue his campaign, in your mind?
Well, he has to come within striking distance of Donald Trump. He has to show the American people that he has what it takes to overcome the polls, if you will, with regard to Trump. But, you know, I remember the Dewey-Truman race. Now, I wasn't around then, so all right, guys, but I remember reading about the Dewey-Truman race and the headlines in all the New York papers around the country. Dewey wins. Dewey's the president and Truman won. So we can't necessarily rely on polls. With regard to DeSantis, well, let's see what happens tonight.
On that note, actually, Bart, when it comes to Iowa, a lot of this comes down to organization, campaigning on the ground. Now, versus, you know, TV ads in other states. So what is the significance of Iowa being the first state, at least for the Republicans this year, versus, say, if it was Florida? How does that change how these candidates campaign?
I think it was Iris that mentioned that, no, it was Arlene mentioned that DeSantis has been to all 99 counties. Ramaswamy has been to all 99 counties at least twice. That's the traditional way to campaign in Iowa. Iowans take their first in the nation status very seriously, as do the people of New Hampshire. You could go into a mini mart in Des Moines and pick the woman behind the desk and put her in this seat, and she could talk like a political pundit. That's how they are there. They are serious about it. And they expect their candidates to come and talk to them personally. And so that, usually, that makes a difference. Donald Trump, of course, breaks all the rules. He shows up and he makes a rally, and they come from 99 counties to him to listen to him. But organization matters, especially when it's cold. They will go out, they'll vote when it's cold, but somebody needs to be on the phone to say, hey, you know, yeah, you're not here yet. You know, I know you're planning to come. Are you coming? The doors close in 10 minutes.
On that note, Trump this year has had all his legal issues, so he's been taking several trips to Manhattan. At the same time, though, he has a very big organization on the ground that does have a big presence there. So how do you see Trump doing tonight, given that he himself hasn't been there so much, but he does have an organization on the ground?
Tiffany, I got to tell you, America's changed since Donald Trump was elected. I've been speaking to all kinds of people throughout this country, and they're looking for stability. They're looking for a future that will be a future of prosperity for themselves and their children. And they're looking for someone that could unite the country, civility, unite it. It reminds me of the days of Ronald Reagan, you know, I mean, morning in America. That's what they're looking for. So hopefully a candidate, obviously one of these will come out and say at the end of this primary challenge is that we've got to get together, we've got to unite this country. That's what they're looking for. Can Donald Trump do it? Well, it remains to be seen. He hasn't done it yet, but I don't know if any of the candidates can do that at this point.
To your point, Lieutenant, a big part of Nikki Haley's campaign has been just that. What you're saying is, trying to paint herself as the stable candidate. We've seen a significant rise in her polls as of late. Why do you think that is?
Well, you're right. She's speaking what the American people truly want to hear. She has been doing a lot of talking with regard to uniting the country, more civility, more so than the other candidates. So I believe that message is beginning to resonate with the American people because, folks, they're tired. The American people are just tired of the chaos, of the incivility, of the chaos we have in Congress. Is our country governable with the people we have in office? And I've got to tell you, at this point, I haven't seen it. They're looking for a leader for America.
Bart, if the polls are any indicator, at least more than half of the Republican voters in Iowa are not tired of the former president. Why do you think we're seeing a shift in momentum for Nikki at this moment?
I think her momentum is coming mostly from the fact that she suddenly has a great deal of money to spend. She spent over $30 million on ads in Iowa alone. And most of those ads have been attacking Ron DeSantis, not attacking Donald Trump, because she knows that she has to close in second place. And when you spend $30 million on ads, you do see a rise. But when you look at it overall, as you say, the 85% of the voters across America don't want a continuation or a return to the pre-Trump Republican Party. 70% are backing Trump, 10% are backing DeSantis, and 5% are backing Ramaswamy. DeSantis is, I'm Trump without the bad personality. Ramaswamy is, I'm young Trump. You know, I'm Trump Jr. And so 85% of Republicans are backing a Trump or Trump-like candidate. And we can't get away from that. You can't get around that. Nobody can get around that.
On that note, we are seeing reports that there is an increase in first-time caucus goers this time. Bart, let's start with you. Who do you expect those voters to be voting for? Or is it maybe a mix of all of them?
I think it's a mix of all of them. I think it's a mix, not so much of DeSantis. I think it's a mix of Trump and Nikki Haley. I was in Iowa last week, actually, and I had a chance to speak with a lot of people. And I asked, it was cold. It was, at that point it was only -7, so, kind of balmy compared to what it is tonight. But they said, oh no, the cold isn't going to stop us, the snow's not going to stop us. And some were hardcore still voting for Trump. Some were saying, I've never voted in a caucus before, but I'm going to now. Many said, I never voted before 2016, and I voted for Trump then, and I'm sticking with him. But there were a few, and interestingly, I don't think a single one of them was a woman. They were all men who said they were voting for Nikki Haley, and it went to Steve's point. They liked her. They thought she was a more stabilizing influence. There weren't very many of those, but they were men, and they liked Nikki Haley.
We're going to come back to the panel in just a moment. And tonight's caucusing isn't ending anytime soon. When we return, Data Hub 2024 with our special guest from the Epoch Times, Roman Balmakoff, breaking down voter data you don't want to miss. We'll be back shortly.
Art is beautiful, breathtaking, timeless, and moving. Experience art with 5,000 years of history, inspired by the divine. Experience experience Yun.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce exercise-induced joint discomfort as early as day 1 and reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out, and I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're gonna benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.
Is it time yet?
It's time.
Let's start chocolate dinner.
Oh, terrific.
Pasta dinner.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
And we're back with more coverage of the Iowa caucuses on NTD's The Nation Decides 2024. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier. Now, I've got a very exciting segment coming up with our great friend and colleague Roman Balmakov, an Epic Times host, and for tonight, our Data Hub 2024 reporter. Now, Roman, what do you have prepared for us?
Well, I think like everybody else, I'm just stoked. The air is electric tonight. It's the beginning of the 2024 season, the first Democratic process in the race. And this is really where everything just falls apart. The polls are done away with. The $123 million in ads don't matter anymore. Tonight is when the underlying reality will be revealed. Who do the Iowan people themselves want to send to represent them in the general election? So let's head on over to the Data Hub, actually, where I can show you some of the numbers. And we can take a look at what we're going to be working with tonight. So right here is the Data Hub, and this is the beautiful state of Iowa. If you've ever been there, I mean, this is pure Americana, beautiful farmland, beautiful cities. And right here is the entirety of the state, 99 counties, some of the bigger population hubs, Sioux City, Des Moines, Davenport. You also have Iowa City, as well as Cedar Rapids here. And right now, at the moment, we don't have any data yet. The caucus process is still playing itself out. We'll start to have that in about 20 minutes. But what we'll be looking at here, and just FYI, the way this system will work throughout the evening is that as the data piles in, these counties will actually start to get color-coded. If they're leaning towards Trump, towards Haley, towards DeSantis, they'll be different colors. So you can watch out for that starting in about probably 15, 20 minutes. But what we're really going to be starting to look out for here is how the shape of this map will be sort of coming together by the evening. Because we know that rural voters tend to go for Trump, whereas urban and suburban voters tend to go for Nikki Haley. DeSantis is kind of a mixed bag of the two. But today, it's negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit with wind chill in Iowa. And so how will that affect things? Because in the rural areas, you might have less developed roads. It might be a lot harder to actually get to the caucus place. But the enthusiasm in those rural areas is extremely high versus the urban and suburban areas where the infrastructure might be better to brave those elements, but the enthusiasm might not be as much, at least according to the polls, for Nikki Haley. And again, Ron DeSantis kind of splits the difference between there. So that's one thing we're looking out for. Another is sort of the breakdown in demographics, male, female, college educated or not, farmer versus city dweller. But those numbers will probably actually start to come in maybe tomorrow and the day after. Today, we're just going to get the raw numbers. And the last thing to really look out for is Trump, because I mean, nobody's debating whether he's going to win or not. I mean, he's up in the polls, depending which poll you believe, between 23 and 32 points. But the question is expectations. He's expected to win by a fat margin. If he comes in under expectation, well, those tailwinds, he'll have tailwinds going into New Hampshire. However, if he exceeds expectations, if he consolidates the Vivek vote, well, he'll have headwinds, or actually the opposite. He'll have tailwinds coming into New Hampshire. So that's what we're looking out for. And come back here in 20 minutes and I'll have some numbers for you. Otherwise, Tiffany at the desk.
Roman, thanks for that. And we will be coming back to you very shortly.
And the caucusing is still in action as we speak. This first major step in picking party nominees. Earlier today, NTD's Arlene Richards asked voters about what this could all amount to. How important is the 2024 election to you? Here's what we got.
It's not only for me, but also for whole country. I think this country is in crossroad, and we need to select a leader that has not only vision, but also integrity.
Very important. We need to elect a new leader for our country, and Ron DeSantis is the best leader that I've seen running for president since I started going to caucuses in 1980.
I feel that it's really important because it's going to define how we reunite as Americans. We all kind of feel the same, and we need somebody to unite us.
Very important to me because obviously with inflation, immigration, the way the world is going, I think it's really an important time, and I think it's also an important time for a younger generation to be anointed into the White House and other politics.
It's very important because we're at a turning point with the presidency, and we have a lot of important issues with the border and taxes, education, foreign policy, and there are two different directions we can go, and so it's important that we pick the right people to lead us during this time.
The 2024 election is very important to me because it's going to change the impact of our country. And this country has been going in the wrong direction that I don't want my generation and the next generation to live in a country that has been going downhill with low interest rates and all this stuff that's bad for America, and seeing our America that I once was taught to believe in being torn apart. That's something that I don't want to see, and so that's why I'll be out caucusing tomorrow night, because I want to take our country back and leave a good legacy for the next generation.
Some good reporting by Arlene Richards there. Now back to our guests, Bart McCoys and Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Now, Lieutenant, before the break, we were talking about Nikki Haley and what she can offer versus other candidates. What can she offer that other candidates can't?
Well, the one thing she can offer that other candidates can't is a hope and dreams of a lot of women across this country, especially young women in high school and college. They're seeing a young lady like Nikki Haley have a terrific career in politics and serving a country, but isn't it exciting? I think about my daughters to see a woman running for president of the United States with the possibility of winning. So that's what she offers, and I think it's a great thing for America.
And right now, we do have some numbers we're going to pull up for you. As the numbers come in, we have the top four candidates right now that are leading in Iowa. If we take a look here, we could see former President Trump is at 76%, Governor Ron DeSantis at 12%, Nikki Haley at 7%, and Vivek Ramaswamy at 4%. This is the early numbers here with just barely 1% of the vote in. We're going to continue to monitor these numbers, but as expected with the early polling, former President Trump is sitting atop at 77% right now. Bart, what do you make of this as expected?
I would guess that these are the rural counties. These are the places. There are roughly 1,700 polling places in Iowa. There are about 700,000 registered Republicans, and I would guess between maybe 200,000 and 220,000 are going to vote tonight. So you do the math, you're looking at anywhere from, small counties where maybe only 40 or 50 people show up. So when they go there, they actually write down the name of their chosen candidate on a piece of paper and turn it in, and somebody opens it and counts it in front of everybody, and they call it in and say we have 75 for Trump and 30 for Haley and so forth. So those counties are so small, they're easy to count. And they're going to be the ones that count first. We're going to see that lead of Trump diminish throughout the night because the big counties like Des Moines are much more leftist oriented. They're more liberal Republicans. They are, and they're bigger. And it's going to take longer to count them. And that's where Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are going to have their strength.
We're actually going to pull up a soundbite, get your reaction, Lieutenant. Let's play that and get your reaction on the other side.
We actually have a large fundraiser on the 30th of January at a major apartment in New York City where we're raising a tremendous amount of money. Believe it or not, a number of it coming from Democrats.
Lieutenant, that was a soundbite earlier from Fox News where you had essentially somebody saying that a lot of the money pouring into the Haley campaign is coming from Democrats. Does this ultimately help or hurt her moving forward?
Well, it's a good question. It depends on who is going to benefit from that. The Democrats, in their view, they want her to get the nomination, perhaps believing they could defeat her. That could backfire very, very badly. It's nothing new in politics. It's happened year in and year out, cycle after cycle. And at the end of the day, whoever's supposed to win, they'll win. But this may backfire on them very badly.
Yes, indeed. And we will be back in just a moment.
Yes, when we return from this very short break, NTD's Iris Tao with an on-the-ground update. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. I never thought about heart disease until I had my own heart event. I received 2 stents in my arteries, stents developed through research funded by the American Heart Association. Those stents saved my life. I have met so many survivors. Each of them tells a story that can be so helpful to women out there.
Everything was pretty good. It was a very happy life. I was given the diagnosis that I had peripartum cardiomyopathy, which is basically a pregnancy-induced heart failure. They told me my only chance was a heart transplant.
And the American Heart Association helped make that possible. Their research helped save me.
I think everyone should support the American Heart Association. Call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help fund the next medical breakthrough. Get the next person trained in CPR, the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. You can be part of that very important work that the American Heart Association is doing to save lives everywhere. Give $19 a month with your credit card, and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can wear to show that you are helping save lives.
I'm grateful for just every day that I get with my children. I am very thankful for the American Heart Association.
Heart disease is America's #1 killer, and your support now can help save your life or the life of someone you love. Listen to your heart. The only reason I'm here today is because I did. So please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now. Join me as a monthly donor today and help save even more lives.
Hi everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and
And welcome back to our special live coverage. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier. Now, before we go to our reporter in Iowa, I've got two new guests to introduce. President of American Principles Project and former congressional campaign manager Terry Schilling. And of course, former campaign advisor Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, or Captain America. Glad to have you both here. Now, Roger, what is happening out there? What is the atmosphere like? Give us a sense.
Well, the good news is that the temperature is going up to -3. It was -14 last night when I went out to dinner. So, you know, break out your bathing suits. But nothing much is happening here at Vivek Ramaswamy's party headquarters yet. It's at the Sector Hotel. It's a trendy joint, as befits the candidate, where there has been a big dust-up in the last couple of days between Trump and Ramaswamy, who were until then best buddies. All of a sudden, you know, the 45th president had some nasty things to say about Vivek. We will see what materializes about that night as the night goes on, and hopefully I might get a statement from Vivek about it. We'll see what's going.
And Roger, while you are still there with us, give us a sense what the voters have been saying. The night is still very young, but what is how is the turnout so far? Any sense of that?
Unfortunately,
let's see, Roger, just in case you didn't hear me that time, I know the night is still very young, but give us a sense of the turnout, the voter turnout for Vivek.
Well, we don't know, do we? I mean, he thinks that there's going to be a big surprise. And, you know, he's supposed to think that. Whether there will be, we will know quite soon, actually. I mean, people are starting to vote in the caucuses, or to caucus, not to vote, really. I've been to them, and then what they do is they stand at the corner of the candidate they support. And sometimes they see their boss in the opposite corner, and they quickly hurry and scurry over to get to the right corner. We'll see what happens with Vivek later on, and hopefully we'll get a crowd here in this party room.
Well, Roger, thank you for that, and we will be checking in with you throughout the night.
And now to our panel. We have Terry Schilling and Lieutenant Rogers. Great to have you both here. I would like to pull up some of the quotes here from former President Trump and Vivek as we're discussing that Roger mentioned in his opening statement there. It was quite interesting to see. You know, Vivek has been kind of dubbed the younger version of former President Trump, and the former president on Truth Social firing a shot across the bow, one might say, saying that Vivek is not MAGA. If we do have that CG, we could pull it up. But what do you make of that, Terry?
Well, I think that this is what happens in campaigns. I've been involved in several of them, and there's always an incredible amount of friction, especially the day of and the days leading up to the election. I think Vivek has a long future in our party. I think that he's fresh. He knows what time it is, which is the most important thing. But I don't put anything past this. I think we need to move on after tonight as a united front, regardless of what the outcome is. And we'll see. I think this is just Trump being Trump and politics being politics.
Well, we'll pull up Vivek's response to that truth of former president. Vivek essentially saying that he wasn't going to reply.
To his credit, going back to Reagan's 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak evil of any other Republican. I don't think he's connecting with the American people. I also believe that Donald Trump, President Trump, wants everybody talking about Donald Trump and no one else. But for him for Vivi to, I call him Vivi because I can't pronounce his last name like half of America can't. So Vivi, he was pretty strategic in this, not getting involved in attacking Trump. And to his credit, you know what? It kind of benefits him. Like I said earlier, people are tired. They don't want any more of that stuff.
Well, Terry, Vivek Ramaswamy has been polling in the single digits in Iowa and nationally, but he is very articulate. He's very popular among the anti-establishment conservatives. He's also quite popular among young people. Where do you see his future looking like? Maybe not just in this race, but beyond.
Well, look, he's 38 years old, right? So the world is literally his oyster. He's bright. He's very smart. He's been able to figure out the political moment that America is in right now, and young people are flocking to him. Now, the tricky thing for anyone that's running against Trump is the Republican base still likes him, right? And the polling shows that. He's had a 35-point lead according to Real Clear Politics average. In Iowa, it's a 25-point lead in New Hampshire. Voters want Trump, and they don't want Trump light right now. But I just think right now, the results we get in tonight, it's really a reflection of just how much the party likes Trump and supports him and doesn't want to get rid of him. I think Vivek could be the nominee in a future race, but he could run a political action committee, run a think tank, something like that. He's got a bright future. I think he's going to change the country.
And speaking of those results, there are more results pouring in right now as we speak, and we are going to take a quick look at those and discuss and see if anything's changed since the last time. As we can see here, former President Trump coming down a little bit, down to 71%, Governor DeSantis at 15%, and Nikki Haley at 8%, and Vivek at 6%. That's still with a very, very small number of the vote coming in, less than 1%. Not much changed here. What do you anticipate as we move forward, Lieutenant?
Well, I'll tell you, I believe that Ron DeSantis is going to surprise us tonight. I think he's going to surprise us. I'm looking at those numbers and I'm seeing him climb. Donald Trump has stabilized. Nikki Haley not doing as well as DeSantis at this point. Let's keep an eye on Ron DeSantis. He may be the surprise for the night.
And Terry, do you agree with Lieutenant's assessment there?
Well, look, I think that going into this caucus, everyone was predicting that Nikki Haley would be number 2, and it looks like Ron DeSantis, it's less than 0.5% is in right now, so it's tough to make predictions. But my mom's in Iowa. I talked to her tonight. She's going to caucus for Trump. But she says she thinks DeSantis will come in second. She's saying a lot of people have negative opinions about Nikki Haley, and they don't really think that she's part of the movement. So we'll have to see.
Well, Lieutenant, actually, Ramaswamy touches on some unique issues like reviving purpose and patriotism in Americans. We don't really see polls making this a top issue for voters, but he is sticking to his message, especially targeting young Americans like we spoke about. Do you see this as a strategy that maybe some other candidates will pick up?
It may be a strategy for his future. He may realize that maybe he doesn't have a chance of winning, although he says he's in it to win, but he may be thinking about the future. But to your point about what are the issues, this country, our country, the United States of America, the people are angry. They're really angry. They're angry at the way the government is working today. They're angry at the Democrats, at the Republicans not performing. We're an angry country, and a lot of them are going out and voting based on their anger. They don't want Joe Biden in office. They don't want any Democrat in office. So hopefully they'll get a Republican that will bring some peace and tranquility back to this country.
We'll be back with our panel in just a few moments, but first to our Data Hub reporter, Roman Balmakov. Roman, what are you seeing over there as the numbers continue to trickle in?
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure you can see the ticker underneath the screen there. Let's take a look at what's happening over in Iowa. So right now you have less than 0% of the votes still counted, so less than 1%, more than 0, less than 1%. And let's take a look at the actual numbers here. I mean, the top line, as you can see, Donald Trump is winning right now at 70%. Ron DeSantis is number 2 at 15. Nikki Haley at number 3 at 7.8, and Vivek at 6.3. Again, this is about 1% of the vote, not even coming in, so don't, a lot can change between here and there when the end is reached. But let's take a look at some of the counties that have some numbers reported. Here we have Leon County, Donald Trump, number 1, Ron DeSantis number 2, Nikki Haley there number 3. And by the way, just because the numbers are here doesn't mean the entire county's numbers have already been coming in. Each individual county has more than one caucus, so it's not exactly like, you know, the numbers are in and that's what this particular county is going for. Numbers will still be trickling in for every single county. Let's see here, Donald Trump number 1, Nikki Haley number 2. Interesting, Ron DeSantis was actually number 2 when I checked this a few minutes ago, so that has flipped. You have Donald Trump here number 1, Vivek number 2. Yeah, so I mean, this is what it's sort of looking like right now. Looks like more of the rural counties have been reporting. But the important thing to note here is that there are 40 delegates up for grabs in the state of Iowa. And Iowa is not a winner-takes-all state. So everybody can win some delegates. So if, as the polling shows, if Donald Trump gets, let's say, 50%, Nikki Haley gets 30%, and let's say Ron DeSantis gets something like 20%, every one of them can grab some delegates, and they can say to the national media, hey, I'm a viable candidate, so going into New Hampshire, they can play that story for the next 8 days. So that's basically what's on the line here. You have delegates as well as bragging rights. But come back to me in about 20 minutes, and I'm sure I'll have more data for you. Until then, Tiffany at the desk.
Roman, great job breaking down all that data. We'll be coming back to you soon enough. But when we return, our reporter Arlene Richards with news straight from Des Moines. And a lot more after this short break.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
First time I came in here was Monday, and today is Thursday. I've had 2 surgeries and am doing fantastic. I'm still in shock that
television and other streaming platforms.
And caucus night continues in Iowa, where our reporters are on the ground giving us live updates as the data continues to come in. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier.
And we've got Arlene Richards connecting with us on the ground in Iowa. What is the latest out there, Arlene?
Well, the latest is that DeSantis and his group, the supporters, are all out at the caucuses right now, and they will be here by about 8:30 p.m. this evening. So while we're waiting for them to come back, let's learn a little bit more about caucusing and what's involved in that. I spoke to a GOP precinct chair earlier today. Let's watch. So we're here in Dallas County, Iowa with Terry Rich, and he's getting things set up for a caucus tonight here at an elementary school. You want to tell us what we can expect to happen here tonight?
Well, people will be coming in just a few hours, and they'll be doing the caucus, and that is a straw poll for the presidential candidates who have worked here for almost 8 months, talking to us face to face. So back here, empty gym, and we'll have what's called a precinct. There'll be 2 precincts here. We'll bring them together. They will register, show a voter ID. They'll sit down and we'll do the pledge, the prayer, and then we're going to allow people to talk about their presidential candidate. After 8 months, why did you select? So they each get 3 minutes, which isn't a lot, but a lot of people have their mind made up. And at that point, after that's done, then we do some party business, because the caucus has 2 or 3 real key structures that we have to do. One is to, of course, do the straw poll. The other is to get volunteers that will help us in the election in the fall. And to do that, we'll ask for people to help us with our central committee for the county. We'll ask people to go to the county convention, and then they can work their way all the way to the national convention. And we'll ask them to write down what platforms they like with the Republican Party and what they don't like, so that we can take that to the convention, to the platform committees, combine it, and that kind of forms the basis of what we hope the candidates will think. Once that's all done, then we've given everybody a ballot. If we've ID'd them, we know they're a registered Republican, then they get a ballot. They'll pull that out of their pocket and they'll write down their favorite presidential candidate's name. And we will then put those all together, and we will manually, publicly count those with the candidate representatives watching. And will be a pile here, we'll count them. And we will publicly announce who this precinct voted for. At the same time, every precinct has a recorder. And it's an electronic way for us to send in to the Iowa GOP, where everything's being combined together and mentioned to the press, who the winner was in this precinct. And it's kind of cool because when we vote here and we count the votes, we have the candidates' representatives here watching the vote. They know what the numbers are. When we have it, we know what the numbers are. When we put it in, then Iowa GOP knows. So when we announce it to everybody in the audience, so they can tell, hey, if the votes weren't the same as what it was when we heard it in the caucus, we're upset. But so we think that makes it much more transparent, because the people will know when they leave how their precinct voted.
Mr. Richmond said that he doesn't think the cold weather will keep Iowans away tonight, and he fully expects to have a full house tonight with all Iowans coming in and voting. Back to you.
Thank you for that great report, Arlene, on the ground. We'll continue to be checking in with you. Great work out there.
And let's get a granular update on those numbers now. Roman, what do you have for us?
That's right, Tiffany. As you can see in the ticker underneath the screen there, we have about 1% of the vote in. Donald Trump is, of course, in the lead. Now, here's what's interesting. My phone is blowing up. Even the AP news feed that we're getting the information from has already called it for Trump. A bunch of different outlets have called it for Trump as well. But here's the main thing here. It's not about who's going to win here, right? The question is, what's the margins of victory? At the moment, you have 1% of the vote. Trump is 55%. Nikki Haley, 18%. Mostly right now, you have the rural counties coming in, but again, it's only 1% of the vote. And the question really becomes, will the polls reflect the end result? Because if they do, Trump will have tailwinds going into New Hampshire. Let's say if Nikki Haley outperforms her expectations, she will have some tailwinds coming into New Hampshire. So the question is not necessarily who wins Iowa, because Iowa, after all, let me just sort of remind everyone, there's only 40 delegates in Iowa out of around 1,200 delegates that the candidates need to win. So it's not really about whether you win Iowa or lose. It's about the story that you can craft after Iowa, heading into Super Tuesday, heading into Nevada, South Carolina, New Hampshire. That's the real question. It's the expectation. Now, of course, I will mention this. These were the 2016 results right here. And while Trump was scheduled to win based on the polls, it was actually Ted Cruz that pulled out a victory. So all these yellow counties wound up voting for Cruz in the 2016 election. And what DeSantis has been doing is campaigning in those very same counties. So in the next few minutes, probably in the next hour, we'll figure out whether that strategy worked for him, whether those counties wound up going to DeSantis, or if they remain Trump. So come back to me in about 20 minutes and I'll give you an update. Otherwise, back to you.
Roman, thank you for that. And we will be back with you quite shortly.
But let's first get back to our guests here. We have President of the American Principles Project and former Congressional Campaign Manager Terry Schilling and former Campaign Advisor Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. I'd like to pull up the numbers again to see kind of where we stand with the top four as the numbers continue to roll in. And as we take a look at those numbers, we can talk about them. But I'd like to get your thoughts, Terry. Former President Trump, while he is on the ballot in Iowa, there's multiple states right now that are trying to take him off of the ballot, whether it be Colorado, Maine, a few others that may follow suit. What many see as attempts from Democrats to potentially rig the election. So we saw how the indictment seemed to boost support for the former president. Do you see these attempts to kick him off the ballot as effectively securing the nomination for him?
I think that's exactly right. I think all of these attempts to persecute Trump and incriminate him and imprison him essentially is what they're pushing for. I think it's only bolstering his support amongst the Republican Party. But also I think the number one thing that everyone needs to be paying attention to is, where do the Ross Perot voters go? right? Those were the voters that have determined the majority of our elections. They do not like really either party. They think the Democrats are too anti-business and too prone to wars, but then they look at the Republicans and they don't think they work for the working class. These voters see the criminalization of Donald Trump and they go to his corner because they think there's something bigger there. So I think the more these guys try to persecute him and keep him out of politics, it's going to backfire in their faces.
Lieutenant Rogers, to Terry's point, the issue of election integrity led to immense division in our country in 2020. These lawsuits against Trump obviously aren't helping to lower the temperature, if you will. If Trump were to win the nomination, what is it going to take for there to be overwhelming trust in the elections come November?
Well, it's going to be very difficult, very difficult. And to your point, look, this truly is a witch hunt. I mean, even Democrats have said to me, the only way a candidate should be removed from running for president is by the people, of the people, and for the people. For you to use the courts to weaponize the DOJ, people are not dumb in this country. They see what's going on. They're fed up with it. It's backfiring on them. And that is indeed going to help Donald Trump get the nomination and perhaps win in November.
And Terry, on that note, NBC released a piece saying, quote, a network of public interest groups and lawmakers nervous about former President Trump's potential return to power is quietly devising plans to foil any effort on his part to pressure the U.S. military to carry out his political agenda. Now, you said in response to this, quote, this is the end game, unreal. Expand for us here. What is the end game?
Well, typically what Democrats do is they project, right? So everything that they've accused Donald Trump of, colluding with Ukrainian officials, right? We find out that actually it was Hunter Biden colluding with the Ukrainian officials for, to be a CEO or whatever it was with an oil company, oil and gas company. And it was, Vice President Biden that was using the power of the federal government to go after his political opponents. What I'm saying is that if Democrats are saying that they're worried about Trump using the military against his political opponents, they're planning to use the military against their political opponents. You look at the military brass, the top levels of the Pentagon, and they are all just like General Mark Milley, right? He is a full-fledged, woke, con artist who has used he has had over an enormous amount of disasters under his reign, the Afghanistan pullout for one, but they've implemented all these DEI programs. They're planning something, I don't know what it is, but they are scared to death of Donald Trump getting back into office because they know that there will be justice served to a lot of them.
And on that note, Lieutenant, Trump has called his legal troubles a campaign by the Biden administration, saying this only happens in third world countries, calling this a banana republic. Now, Biden, meanwhile, is framing this election cycle once again as democracy is on the line. Now, how much is at stake in terms of this election, not just in Iowa, but in general?
A lot at stake. The future of this country is at stake, and it has little or nothing to do with Donald Trump causing the problem. We have the Democrats who have weaponized the judicial system, they've weaponized Congress, the Department of Justice, boards of education. I mean, they have weaponized everything. Want to talk about insurrection? Let's talk about it. I believe there's a good argument that they're using the institutions of this country to create a quiet, if you will, insurrection. Strong words, yeah, but I think a lot of Americans believe that, and they're going to react to it at the polls in a peaceful way come November.
And we do have a lot more coming up from the Data Hub. Isn't that touch screen just great? Don't go away. We'll be back really soon.
If you're watching this, I didn't make it. Thanks to people like you and the American Heart Association, my family never had to see this video. I was a healthy 47-year-old, no symptoms. But then my doctor discovered I had a bad heart valve that was beyond repair. The scariest day of my life was when I was sitting on a gurney as I looked and my wife was at my side and my kids had me surrounded. Deep down, you know, this could be it. This could be all there is.
Not having him around for Riley to grow up with and have that papa figure in his life, that would have been hard.
This little heart valve did something really big. It saved my life. I wouldn't be here today without it. The research for this heart valve was funded by the American Heart Association. And that's why I'm asking you to become a monthly donor for just $19 a month. When you do, you'll help fund the next medical breakthrough that could save your life or the life of someone you love. You'll also provide life-saving CPR training and help certify hospitals to give the best care to those who have had a heart attack or stroke. When you give $19 a month, we'll send you a t-shirt just like this one. From the moment you put it on, you'll help raise awareness for heart disease and stroke. Since my surgery, I had a son get married. I had a daughter graduate high school. I had another daughter give birth to a precious boy. I would have missed all that. And that's why it's personal for me.
We're very thankful for everyone who is a donor because it gives us more time.
Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack. The next person you help save could be someone you love or even you. Become a monthly donor today by calling or going to helpheart.org because it's personal.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
Freedom is not free, and neither is the truth. In order to bring you the facts, our reporters are out there on the front lines getting the true story. Some of them served 10 years of prison in China. We've been censored on social media. Our Hong Kong printing offices were set on fire, and we've been repeatedly attacked by the Chinese Communist Party. But no matter what, we believe that you deserve the truth, and so we'll continue to bring the truth to life. Head on over to getepic.com and try honest journalism that is based in truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
NTD News, the fastest growing independent news source in America, bringing you breaking news from around the world. Expert analysis, investigative reporting, and original award-winning documentaries. We're known for our uncensored China coverage you won't find anywhere else. We cover the stories that affect you and shape our world without the political noise. We report from the heart with you in mind. Watch us right here on NTD News.
Welcome back to NTD's live special coverage of the Nation Decides 2024 Iowa Caucus Night. We go now to Roman Balmakov with the Data Hub. Now, Roman, how has each candidate gone about campaigning in this state and why?
Yeah, it's been an interesting thing to watch, and what's truly interesting about it is the results, because it seems like if you just kind of think about the traditional political way of campaigning, you would think the results would be one way, but actually they're sort of reversed. So let me give you an idea. So in terms of events and numbers of counties, right? Everyone in Iowa talks about the full Grassley, right? Senator Grassley, he famously visited all 99 counties in the state. So the person to do that the closest is Vivek. He had 239 events across 94 different counties. But of course, he's polling essentially last among the candidates. Next up, you have Ron DeSantis, who had 99 events in 57 counties. Now, what's interesting is Ron DeSantis' campaign team, they've been sending out the 99 number. They said, we've had 99 events, so people just assume that he's achieved the full Grassley, but he's not. It's 99 events in 57 counties. Nikki Haley, 51 events in 30 counties, and Donald Trump, 24 events in 19 counties. So no one achieved that full Grassley. But in terms of like which counties they're focusing on, there's kind of a disparate strategy happening. Vivek, for his part, he essentially visited all 94 counties. He's been on the ground. He's really been like essentially visiting the entirety of the state. Whereas Nikki Haley, and this kind of reflects in the results. So right now, you have 10% of the vote in Johnston County. This is Johnston County is where Iowa City is, so this is the fourth largest county by population in the state. And as you can see, Nikki Haley is leading. I mean, it's only 10% of the vote, but it kind of reflects her demographic. Suburban, urban people, urban Republicans, actually Democrats and independents as well, because they can actually come in Iowa. You can come to the caucus and register as a Republican on the day. So a lot of independents and Democrats are actually favoring Nikki Haley. So that sort of shaped her campaign strategy. Donald Trump is, of course, a national figure. People come to him. So I mean, he can have an event in a county and probably the 10 surrounding counties will come to visit him. Ron DeSantis, I mentioned it in an earlier segment, but he's trying to emulate this strategy here. These are the 2016 results where Trump was actually leading in the polls, but Ted Cruz wound up winning Iowa, at least in terms of the overall vote. Of course, Iowa is not a winner-take-all system, but Ron DeSantis has his campaign strategy has been sort of trying to emulate this and going for these Ted Cruz voters. Now, will that work? We don't know. not enough of the vote is in. Only about 2% of the vote thus far is in. But that's sort of how the different strategies have been shaped. Let's see if they work out.
Well, Roman, thanks for that. And Steve, back to you at the desk.
That was some really interesting stuff there. We'll be back to that data hub in just a few moments. But first, we're going to go back out to the field in Iowa, where NTD's Iris Tao is at the Trump campaign headquarters in Iowa with a live report. What's going on out there right now, Iris?
As the Trump watch party for the Iowa caucus is starting actually right now at 8 o'clock here Central Time. Meanwhile, we can see in the banner behind me right here, it already says Trump wins Iowa, and that's as some projections are coming in about a Trump victory, and we can see the Trump campaign headquarters here already sending out that message. And while we are waiting to see the final results in, let's see a package that we did earlier about what different voters are telling us. Watch. Which candidate are you supporting and why?
I'm supporting Trump. The reason why is because I'm tired of the liberals in this country running it.
Donald Trump, because we don't need a career politician. We need somebody that's going to fix and drain the swamp up there in D.C. And we need Donald Trump back in here to make our economy better and the world respect the United States again.
Donald Trump. I'm supporting him because he was a good president back in 2016, and I know that's the president that we need today.
Vivek Ramaswamy, I think. He's a good talker, yeah, but the way he kind of is calling out like everyone in Washington for not really caring what the common citizen cares about, that's kind of one thing that I kind of liked about him.
Nikki Haley, absolutely. I'm tired of all the backbiting and all of that goes along with DeSantis and Trump and Biden and then that whole group, and we're ready for a new start.
Haley, absolutely. She's the strongest, most intelligent, level-headed person out there for us to have as our next leader of this free world.
Actually, I'm trying to decide. It's between Governor DeSantis and Governor Haley. I've been on the DeSantis team, but I've been really impressed in the last couple of weeks with her passion and her intelligence and her people skills and the way I believe she's a really, really good leader.
So the music is getting louder and louder here, and if Trump indeed wins tonight, he's going to give a speech right here at his campaign headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa, to, of course, announce his victory. And we're waiting for him to come here. He's right now visiting a caucus site in the greater Des Moines area, as his campaign told us. So we can expect his circus to come out to talk anytime from now. Back to you.
Great reporting out there, Iris. I'm sure you're happy to be inside based on some of the other reporting you've been doing out there right now. But now back to the studio with some familiar faces. Terry Schilling, Robert Cahaley, great to have you both. Terry, I want to start with you. When it comes to the presidential debates, they tend to face a lot of ridicule. Former President Trump not attending, some calling them a waste of time. DeSantis and Haley just had one recently. How helpful have these debates been for Haley and DeSantis, but also for former President Trump, who has not been attending?
Well, look, these debates offered the challengers to President Trump. He was basically running as an incumbent president. According to the base, he's their guy. They think he got cheated. But what these debates allowed was they gave DeSantis and Haley and Vivek a platform to talk about their issues and give their vision for what they want to do for this country to the American people. And what we're seeing in Iowa right now is the voters in Iowa, the Republicans that want to nominate the right guy, looks like they're siding with Trump. It wasn't enough. So, look, I think anyone challenging Trump right now is going to have a hard time. The voters feel like he was shortchanged. They want to give him another shot. And but I also think that he's the right guy for the right moment.
Fascinating take. And we do want to mention that right now there are many networks out there that have called this race for former President Trump. We can see the data is rolling in. It's still 3.8% of the vote in at this point, but there are networks that are calling it. We have not done so as of yet, but we're continuing to watch this data closely. Robert, I do want to go to you when it comes to back to the topic of the debate. I think a lot of people may think that it's sort of Trump that's defying the establishment by not going to the debate, but actually in 1980, President Reagan He did not attend, and he actually wound up going on to lose the caucus to George Bush. Is Trump making any miscalculation here, in your opinion?
You know, I think at this point, when it's this many people, now that it's starting to narrow down, there'll be more pressure. And if it were to get down to just one candidate, I think Trump's even said if it was one candidate, he would consider debating. But I think when it was all these candidates, it made sense not to, because they were all just going to turn and attack him. I think what we saw with the Haley and DeSantis debate was actually much better debate. I mean, just the two of them were just back and forth. You know, there wasn't any kind of triangulation going on. It was just slug after slug. And I think that would make sense for Trump, because then it would make sense the one person's against him and he's against that person. But to have 4 or 5 people dumping on him at one time just made no sense for him.
Now, Terry, of course, we are expecting more debates. We're only in January. There's a lot still happening, primaries and all of that. But do you see many voters already finishing deciding who they're going to vote for, even though it's only January?
No, look, I think a lot of this has already been set in stone. I've been keeping, in touch with the activists at my organization and just friends of mine that are Republicans. People aren't changing their votes, right? I mean, you've had a few people that have switched from DeSantis to Haley or Haley to DeSantis or, to Vivek, but Trump's support has remained solid this entire time. And I've been paying attention to that Real Clear Politics average for this entire race, and he's had a huge lead, and it really hasn't been dented. And what you have is there's the MAGA vote, right, the America First vote, and that's essentially DeSantis, Trump, and Vivek. And they're all kind of going for that same pot of the pie, or piece of the pie. And then you have the Haley, which is like the Jeb Bush, the George Bush wing of the party. This is what we're seeing. This is the future of the Republican Party. It's an America First party, and I don't think any of these results are surprising.
Well, we are going to make a projection here, and the projected winner is Donald J. Trump. He's projected to win the Iowa caucus. It's still going to be a story of by how much. The media has put a lot of attention on that. Former president obviously wants to win by that 50%, over that 50% threshold, to basically say that, look, it's there's enough people in the Republican Party that want me as president to allow or not allow this primary season to carry on. What do you make of these numbers coming in so far?
Well, it's kind of what we expected. When you started to dig into these polls, Haley was almost every poll under 10% on very enthusiastic, and DeSantis was in the 30s and Trump was in the high 50s. And so on a really cold night, especially knowing that many of the Haley supporters are actually the ones that are Democrats or independents voting, we expect it to fall off a little bit, just because it's really, if you're a Democrat kind of voting in Republican primaries to spoil it, it's really hard to get out when it's that cold. And the dedication matters so much in the Iowa caucus. And I think that there might even be a little hint of a social desirability bias on some of the polling that was benefiting Haley a couple points. We'll see more, but it doesn't surprise me that DeSantis is just a hair above her right now.
Actually, Robert, on the note of polling, it looks like DeSantis stumbled a bit in your latest Iowa poll, down 4 points there now. Like we mentioned, he and Haley are neck and neck. She seems to have really caught up there. What's the number? What's the story behind those numbers?
Well, we had it kind of going back and forth. We had one about a week ago that she was ahead of DeSantis, I think, by half a point and a half, and then now DeSantis was ahead of her by 0.8 of a point in our most recent one. But she definitely caught up, because when people come off of DeSantis, they were going to Trump. They aren't going to Haley. They, just like you said, it was that America First lane and kind of establishment lane. And and Christie kind of salted the ground on getting those votes that she would have expected to just inherit. And so a lot of them just won't participate. But a lot of that was literally leaving DeSantis and going toward Trump, or leaving DeSantis and going to Vivek, because Haley is spending a lot of money attacking DeSantis on the viability of his campaign, with her super PAC doing the dumpster burning ad, just kind of giving people this idea that it's falling apart and might as well, get off the Titanic now.
Actually, you did mention Christie there. Terry, just last week, Christie suspended his campaign, but he was also caught on the hot mic saying that Haley was going to get smoked. Now, do you see his suspending his campaign helping Haley? Maybe not in Iowa, but perhaps New Hampshire?
No, look, I think that the Christie campaign was irrelevant. I mean, he's mostly a has-been. His real moment was probably 2012 when everyone was talking about him, but he hasn't really been relevant since Bridgegate, which wasn't a good thing for him. But I think that this thing was baked into the cake. You look at it, what his comments were about was that they had spent $68 million to bolster Nikki Haley. They didn't spend $68 million to help Trump, and he's killing it. Right, and so you have Nikki Haley, who's probably going to come in under 20% tonight in the polls. This is just really a reflection of the direction of the party that Donald Trump has really guided, but also recognized. Right, he knows what time it is. So did DeSantis. He just didn't. I think this is just the wrong race to challenge President Trump. I think his moment was probably 2028. We'll see how this all plays out, though.
There's certainly still a lot of ground to continue to cover this evening with our panelists here, and there's still much more to get to at the Data Hub. I know Roman is over there just dying to give data that matters. I think I might just have to join him in a minute. We'll be back shortly.
Two neurosurgeons couldn't figure out anything that was wrong with me or what I would need surgery for. Dr. Benatti, without even seeing me, knew I was hurting, knew they could help me. First time I came in here was Monday, and today is Thursday. I've had 2 surgeries and am doing fantastic. I'm still in shock that I can walk. That's all within 4 days.
Visit AskBenatti.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
What was the process of actually putting this all together?
Many hours of finding the right camera angles and watching it. The first trouble started just after 1 o'clock.
45 pages, here it is right here. Donald Trump has been indicted.
Somber day for the country.
This all happened before President Trump's speech was over.
The founder of the Oath Keepers militia group is headed to prison for more than 18 years.
His lawyers didn't have this video. The video we're watching right now, his own lawyers did not have. There was a big question of what did the people do who actually did enter the building.
This is where we picked it up with the security footage that is new. At this point, the story dramatically changes.
The New Jersey man who assaulted a Capitol police officer on January 6th has been sentenced.
So this was withheld.
This was not shown to the defense.
That could be considered exculpatory evidence. This doesn't seem like what a lot of the media is showing.
It's going to change narratives no matter what your political perspective is. What we're after is the truth.
I'll paint it as a benefit.
Welcome back to our special live coverage of the Iowa caucuses. The nation decides 2024. I am at the Data Hub with the Epoch Times' Roman Balmakoff. Roman, give us an idea of the next few caucuses, how important they are, where they are, and most importantly, when they are.
Yeah, so I'll give you that. The reason that tonight is so important is because there's 8 days before the next upcoming New Hampshire primary, right? And the reason that window of time is so important is because whoever wins tonight or whoever outperforms tonight will sort of suck the oxygen out of the media landscape and have all the stories, well, not all the stories, but a lot of the stories be about their unexpected victory or how they did better than expected in Iowa, right? So today is Iowa. 8 days from now will be the New Hampshire primary. Subsequently, you have 2 weeks from then is Nevada and the Virgin Islands as well. 2 weeks from then is South Carolina, which of course Nikki Haley was the governor of that state. That should be an interesting race to see. And then 2 weeks after that is the big day. That's when 30% of the delegates are up for grabs on Super Tuesday. This year it's 14 states will have their primary elections on Super Tuesday. So basically it's 8 days, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. That's what we're looking at. And what we're looking at today in Iowa sort of says the trajectory for everything. So if Trump makes it above 50%, then, I mean, he really sucks the oxygen out of the room. Pretty much what everyone will be talking about for the next week leading into New Hampshire is how Trump killed it in Iowa. But if, let's say, Nikki Haley really takes that lead, or of course it'll be second place, but let's say she's projected to take what percentage is Nikki Haley polling at right now? 20%. I mean, let's say she comes in at 25, 28%. That'll be a story she can sell over the next 8 days, and then over the next 2 weeks going into South Carolina. So that's sort of what we're looking at right now.
There's so many different storylines here. Governor DeSantis, people were saying that he had to come into a close second to Trump in order to even continue his campaign, but his campaign vowing to stay in to maybe even Super Tuesday, as you mentioned. I want to get your thoughts, Roman, on the Democrats. They also have primaries as well, but their schedules and some of the details have changed. Tell us about that.
Yeah. It's true. You know, I'm looking at the chat on this live stream. People are like, well, how come you're only covering the Republican caucus? Why not the Democrat caucus? Well, the Democratic National Committee actually changed it up. A lot of people suspect it's because they wanted to sort of stack it in favor of Biden because he did not do well in Iowa or New Hampshire in the previous caucuses. And so they made South Carolina the first. And so in Iowa, it's all mail-in for Democrats. It's 100% mail-in, and we won't know the results until March 5th, which is the same day as Super Tuesday. And then in New Hampshire, they didn't make that the first, but New Hampshire has a law in the book that they have to be the first primary, and so he's not. Joe Biden's not even on an actual candidate on the ballot. He's a write-in candidate, so people have to write his name in. For Democrats, South Carolina is number one. That's going to be 8 days and then 2 weeks from now. So that's kind of how they stacked it up. All the analysis I've read is because Joe Biden did not do well, and the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, wanted to sort of stack it in favor of Joe Biden. Ironically, even though he does not have any, I mean, he has people he's running against, but no one's really a standout. He has like 50 point margin ahead of anybody else, but that's how they played it. And so South Carolina will be the first primary for the Democrats.
Roman, great job. Appreciate you breaking down all the data. Really important stuff. Tiff, back to you at the desk.
All right, thank you for that. And I'd just like to say you guys make a great team. But now let's catch right up now with Epoch Times columnist Roger Simon, who is in Des Moines. Now, Roger, CNN, CBS, NBC have already called it for Trump. What do you make of that?
Well, the obvious has occurred. Trump has won Iowa, but we knew that maybe a year ago. That's the stunning part about this whole adventure. I'm here at Vivek Ramaswamy's not headquarters, but party quarters, and the rock music is up. I can't hear what I'm thinking, but there's nobody here to dance. The only people here are media and a handful of 2 or 3 other people. I mean, really, nobody's here. And what makes you wonder is something I wrote in the Epoch Times. I have to be honest. 4 or 5 months ago, is why the other candidates just band together and support Trump for the good of the country. Because if they're all so serious that this country is in deep trouble, which a lot of people really think, then why aren't they actually acting instead of for themselves but for the country?
And Roger, you mentioned that it's basically in the bag for Trump. So who do you see getting that second place vote, or is it still too early to tell for that?
Well, obviously there's a little jockeying back and forth between DeSantis and Haley, but my serious question to the public is, does it matter? They're both distant seconds, really. I mean, I'm an old enough person to have seen a lot of elections, and I can tell you, this ain't narrow. This is a blowout. And you know, I know the media because I'm part of the media. And, you know, if Trump ends up with, like, say, 48% of the vote instead of 52% of the vote, they'll make a big deal out of it. But it's irrelevant because it's still a blowout. And they still don't have a chance to beat him in the other states, I don't think. I'm giving you an opinion rather than being an honest reporter, but I don't think in this instance it is opinion. I think it's reality.
Well, Roger Simon, Epoch Times columnist, thank you for that. And Steve's back.
And it's good to be back, although I have to say it was a lot of fun over at that data hub. Roman has high energy and a lot of great information. But now it's back to our panel. Robert, I want to go back to you just to kind of follow up on the conversation about Governor Christie exiting the race. Why do you think that he did it? It seems as though his whole campaign was strung around New Hampshire and to play the spoiler there. So why at this, you know, at the last moment would he depart?
I mean, it almost looked like, you know, this idea of he might be under some sort of pressure, like people pushing him to get out. And he said, all right, well, because Chris Christie's smart. He didn't, that one, I don't believe that was a mistake. And it was kind of his way of, all right, you said I had to get out, but, you know, I nuked her on the way out because it was her people pushing me out. And I really feel like that when Sununu went with Haley, that was a real blow. And I think that was probably something that he thought he had a shot at. And, you know, with him being at 10 or 12%, you know, if you do the math, you think, all right, well, that makes Haley more competitive versus Trump. But the way he kind of, like I said, salted the ground before he left, he really kind of made that a little difficult. So I think whatever pressure he was getting to get out, he you know, he bent to that pressure, but he kind of like spurred him a little bit on the way out.
That's a very fascinating take, Robert, you know, talking about the governor of New Hampshire, incumbent Governor Chris Sununu, endorsing former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley. Terry, what are your thoughts? I mean, could it have been just like the last minute hedge of power, the last bit of power that Chris Christie wields before he rides off into the sunset and is hedging his bet on Nikki Haley?
No, look, I don't think this was calculated by any means. I think Chris Christie is I've got a lot of friends from New Jersey. They like to hold grudges. They like to get in low blows and get in a few quick punches just to, you know, get even. I think this was, he felt betrayed by Trump or whatever. He had hard feelings and he wanted a few more shots at him. I think this was just really about personal politics between him and Trump, and he tried to get a few punches in there. The best we got, I think, was calling him Donald Duck. Didn't really land very.
At the debate,
yeah, it was at the debate. You know, it didn't really land, and so he failed. I think he recognized that Trump wasn't going anywhere. The more they attack him, the better he's doing. I think it was just more personal for Chris Christie than anything calculated or political.
Now, Robert, in terms of the polls and what the polls are showing, Trump has been dominating. He's maintaining that lead. Nikki Haley has been moving up in the polls, though. What has she been doing right, or has she maybe hit that top part? Where do you see her future?
You know, she had momentum, and I mean, frankly, and what Christie said wasn't wrong. She is spending an unbelievable amount of money between her PAC and the super PAC. I mean, more than everybody else combined. And so that's been benefiting. I mean, TV works, you know, unanswered TV works better. And DeSantis just didn't have the money to compete with that. And so when she was specifically attacking his campaign, and by taking away the faith in DeSantis' campaign, like I said, those people fell off and went to Trump. So it was a little bit of her coming up and DeSantis coming down, losing votes to Trump. But it was they kind of met right there at about dead even. And so, but that is a big jump for her. But I think there's just, the media wants her to be successful, and they have pushed this narrative left and right because I think regardless of all the polls that say, you know, she would win and she would beat DeSantis, beat Biden, when you look at how many Trump people say they would either not vote or vote for Kennedy, no, she would gut the Republican Party because she can't hold the Trump coalition together. And so the Democrats would love for her to be the nominee.
Just want to direct our attention to the screen right now. As you can see there, that's Trump campaign headquarters in Iowa, waiting for former President Trump to come out and give his victory speech. He is the projected winner of the Iowa GOP caucuses. How many delegates he ultimately gets out of that 40 still to be determined, but he is the winner, and we're going to see him speak at some point throughout the night. We don't know exactly when. Terry, I want to ask you just in general about the Iowa caucus. I believe we're 158 days away from August 10th, when the Iowa State Fair essentially kicked all of this off. Why Iowa? What makes Iowa significant? What makes this caucus significant? And just kind of paint the picture as to how much energy has been put in there over the past 158 days.
Well, Iowa actually is a relatively recent phenomenon. It actually, the Democrats made Iowa the first caucus state after the 1968 convention in Chicago went out of control. And so they had it in Iowa, but it's worked out really well for the Democrats. Usually who wins Iowa for the Democrats goes on to win the nomination. Clinton was an aberration there. You know, the big thing is that Iowa's in the center of the country, right? And every presidential candidate has to go through Iowa. They have to campaign there. Look, my family's in Iowa. They get a little entitled. They take it seriously. I want to be clear. They take their caucus state seriously. But, you know, you'll have Donald Trump come to town and everyone's just like, okay. But, you know, he's still got his supporters. But having presidential candidates is not a big deal to Iowans. They take it for granted. They take the system and they take voting very seriously. But they're a little bit spoiled, and you can tell.
They get to meet them in person and shake their hands and talk to them like people, which is actually pretty special.
That's right.
And on that note, the coverage doesn't end there. More from freezing but exciting Des Moines when we return. Stick around.
Bob? Is the mic on?
I go by Jackie. I'm 44 years old. I had 3 kids at the time and single mother. I was working 60 hours a week. Still couldn't pay the bills. Skipped meals so that they could eat. It's been hard because one thing falls into place, 10 things fall out of place. You know, I just can't do this alone and make it work.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. But everyone needs nourishing food to thrive, and they can when we work together so our neighbors can feed their families. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
One day my mother came over to my house and said, "There's a meeting at the pantry." I said, "Okay," and I went. There were some ladies in there. They were from the food bank. They asked several questions. Some of those were about me and my story, but it helped me to open up a little bit.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you give by credit card, we'll send you this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you are a part of a movement of supporters working together to help end hunger.
I have people that I can trust. I have hope.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
The tempting online world is encroaching on our campus. Is unplugging cables and confiscating phones the solution to protect our children? No, we just need a clean multimedia platform. Join Ganjing Campus to leverage premium channel features, professional development courses, and kindness event toolkits tailored for teachers. Build a truly positive and interactive classroom community. Foster a pure and delightful learning environment for children.
We've still got a lot more to cover.
Our special coverage of the Iowa caucuses continues now. And we're continuing with our live coverage. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier.
And as you can see here, we are waiting for former President Trump at the Iowa campaign headquarters to come out and give what's expected to be a victory speech. He is the projected winner. As you can see, with only 4% of the votes coming in, it is being called by multiple networks, and we're calling it as well. It's former President Trump is your winner of the Iowa caucuses in this historic evening. You have record low temperatures where Iowans had to come out and brave the elements to cast their vote in the caucus, and it looks like they've done so for former President Trump.
And ready to give us an update is NTD's Iris Tao. Iris, what is it looking like in Des Moines right now?
So we're right now at the Trump campaign headquarters right here in Des Moines, where we're expecting President Trump to come onto the stage to deliver what is expected to be a victory speech. After he's done, of course, going to a caucus site, and we did see that he gave a short speech at one of the caucus sites in Clive, saying he appreciates all the votes by voters in Iowa. Meanwhile, here we have Janice Heisel from the Epoch Times here with us. She just talked to Eric Trump earlier tonight, which is before the caucus happened, and she's going to tell us about what Eric told her about what's expected to be the turnout tonight. So Janice, tell us what Eric told you, especially when it comes to the margin that Trump might have tonight.
Yes, well, Eric Trump was telling me that he was really expecting this to be a great night for his dad. And to him, a great night would be anything over 12%, which would be considered historic. And the reason that's considered historic is because no Republican has ever had a margin of victory bigger than 12% since the caucuses have been held here in the 1970s.
So, of course, we're looking at the results coming in right now. So, what did he say about, what kind of victory is he expecting? Is he going to expect like a great margin here?
Well, he did say he was hoping for something above 12%, but he also said that he felt like even if it was 20% or 30%, that he was doubting that maybe the media, the mainstream media would give credit to his father for that historic victory above 12%, because he's saying, they always want more, well, it should have been 40% or it should have been 50%. So he was saying that he felt like that's part of the quote unquote game that is being played with some media.
So, of course, right now we see the banner behind us saying Trump wins Iowa. So apparently Trump's campaign is calling as well. So we do expect his surrogates and Trump himself to come onto the podium behind us to speak anytime from now soon. Back to you.
Thank you for that update.
And back to our guest in studio, former campaign policy advisor Bart Marcois and former campaign advisor Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. Guys, Bart, I guess we'll go back to you. Which candidate has the best chance against the front runner, not the front runner, but the sitting president, Joe Biden? Is it going to be somebody like Nikki Haley? The polls show that she is doing well when people put her head to head against Biden, or is it going to be somebody like former President Trump?
I'm glad you asked me that, because I've seen a lot of polling showing, there was a poll a couple of months ago that showed Nikki Haley leading Biden by something like 17%, and everybody said, whoa, Nikki Haley, and that's when all the money started flowing in for her. But those polls are not taking into account anything negative said about somebody. Nikki Haley has not really been under attack by anyone effective. Ramaswamy and DeSantis have been attacking her in debates, but nothing is sticking to her. Once the Democrats start attacking a candidate, remember what happened, remember what a nice guy John McCain was until he got the nomination. Remember what a nice guy Mitt Romney was until he got the nomination. Every time the Democrats anoint somebody, they turn on him. Remember what a nice guy Donald Trump was until he ran for president and got the nomination. Once they do that to Nikki Haley, I think that she would fade very quickly. And there's a contingent, a cohort
of Republican voters that have never voted for anyone but Donald Trump before in their lives. They never voted before. They came out, and they are the ones that have transformed the American Republican Party. They're the Hicks. They're my people. They're the blue collar people from all over the country who say a pox on both their houses. We don't want either one of them, but we like this guy Trump. And that's the vigor of the Republican Party. If Trump's not on the ballot, they're not going to show up.
Now, Lieutenant Rogers, I want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you, if I may. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., independent candidate. We don't know which way or whose votes he takes. Some might call him a dark horse or a spoiler. How do you see his candidacy playing into the general election, and how might the candidates deal with him?
This is a great question, and I'm glad you brought it up, because no one, as far as I know, across TV land has brought this up. But I could tell you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I like him. I don't like a lot of his policies, but you know, when he came out of the gate, he reminded me of JFK. And I believe that he's going to play some role somehow in getting the disenfranchised Republicans, some independents, and probably a good swath of the Democrats to vote for him. So it could actually maybe not get him elected, but it'll have an effect somehow, some way on each of the parties. And saying that, and I've said this all along, if the Democrats find a very charismatic individual to run for office like JFK was, a moderate Democrat who believes in some conservative policies, the Republican Party is going to have a real horse race, because I believe people are really fed up with both parties, and they're looking for somebody to come and just straighten it out. I love that question. That was great.
And expanding on that, Bart, it does look like Bobby Kennedy Jr. could potentially win a decent chunk of the electorate, especially in the 7 swing states. One poll had him at like 20% in each. That could be taking from both parties, like we've been discussing. What do you make of all of this?
I think he takes slightly more from the Democrats than he does from Trump, but he is a definite threat to Trump because he appeals to that disaffected the voter. He appeals to the Trump voter on his issue against vaccines, the people who are worried about the vaccines against the China virus, the COVID virus. He appeals to them. To the other Democrats, he appeals to them on some of his other policies, his energy, his climate change policies. But I've looked at those polls very, very closely, and it looks to me like he takes about 9 Biden voters for every 5 or 6 Trump voters. So I think it's a net drain against the Democrats if he stays in the race.
Now let's go to the Data Hub with Roman Baumhoff. Roman, what's new?
That's right, Tiffany. We got some more numbers in, and of course, a lot of the media outlets, including NTD, is calling the race for Donald Trump as the projected winner. But to me, I mean, that's not really saying much. It would be like saying the sun is projected to rise tomorrow. Nobody was really questioning whether Donald Trump was going to win this race. But the real question is, what are the margins of victory, right? Do they match the polls? So let's dive in and take a look at some of the numbers here. Now, of course, right now it's still only 4% of the vote. So, take everything with a grain of salt. But we're beginning to sort of see some patterns take shape. So let's take a look at some of the counties here. This right here is Johnson County, the 4th most populous county in the state. This is where Iowa City is located. And Nikki Haley, about 10% of the votes in, and Nikki Haley has about 41% of those. Donald Trump is number 2, Ron DeSantis is number 3. Again, 10% of the vote, it might still flip, but this is sort of a reflective of her campaign strategy, going after that urban and suburban vote, and at least with 10% of the votes, it appears to be working. Then you head up here to Lynn County. So Lynn County is the 2nd most populous county in the state of Iowa. Cedar Rapids is located here. Donald Trump, number 1, but again, 5% of the vote. Nikki Haley at number 2, Ron DeSantis at number 3. So Nikki Haley was able to secure that number 2 position. Then we'll go to Des Moines, Iowa. Of course, the most populous. This is the seat of the state capital there. 3% of the vote, Nikki Haley in the lead. Again, I'm always so reluctant to even report these numbers when it's like 3%, because they could flip on a dime with, literally 97% of the votes still to be cast. But this is sort of what it's shaping out to be. And then if we look at some of the other counties, some of the more rural counties, they're leaning towards Trump. We've got Henry County, Donald Trump, fat lead here, 63%. Nikki Haley, number 2. Here we have, we looked at this, Johnson County. Keokuk County, Donald Trump in the lead, 76%. So that's seemingly what it's shaping up to be. Notably, Ron DeSantis is missing. He's not really pulling in any counties. He's definitely not in the lead at the moment, at least, whereas Nikki Haley is leading in some counties. But again, anything can change. Still 96% of the vote to be cast. Come back to me in about 20 minutes. I'm sure this map will be better populated then. Until then, back to you at the desk.
Roman, thank you for that. And when we return, more from Arlene Richards in the caucusing state right after this short break.
The highest art is beautiful, breathtaking, timeless, and moving. Experience art with 5,000 years of history, inspired by the divine. Experience Shingyun.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce exercise-induced joint discomfort as early as day 1 and reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out. And I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're gonna benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to NTD's The Nation Decides 2024.
Glad to have you with us on Caucus Night.
And let's get right back into it. NTD's Arlene Richards is on the ground in Iowa. Arlene, what is the latest?
Well, as you can see, the room has started to fill up here at the DeSantis party. The party has officially started. Governor DeSantis will be here a little later to give some remarks after more results come in. And as you've said already, former President Trump has been projected to win. And one of DeSantis' communications directors responded in a tweet that calling the election this early is, quote, absolutely ridiculous. He said the media is participating in election interference. Earlier, DeSantis' campaign manager said they are feeling very good. He acknowledged that they are the underdogs, but said they are excited to beat the odds. Today, DeSantis held 3 events near Sioux City, Council Bluffs, and Cedar Rapids. Their ground team has been withstanding the cold temperatures, and they've gotten to every precinct. Their chairs, they have precinct chairs in all 99 counties and 1,500 precinct captains. Although not yet confirmed, a staff member told me that Governor Kim Reynolds and Representative Chip Roy may be making some remarks later on tonight. It's still quite early, and there are thousands of Iowans who have not yet voted. So as the room continues to fill up, we will continue to give you more updates. Back to you.
Certainly sounds like the DeSantis headquarters there is starting to become a little bit more packed. We'll be getting back to Arlene in just a little while. Thank you for that update. And back to our in-studio guests, Bart Marcois and Lieutenant Stephen Rogers. The topic of the southern border. You go around the country to diners and just talk to the folks, and for many, the majority, that is the single biggest issue. Does President Biden need to do something now while he still has time when it comes to the border, or does he risk losing heading into 2024 because of this one single issue?
Oh, I think it's too late for Joe Biden to do anything at all about the border, anything different. He has cast his lot with it. His die is cast and he can't change. But I think that issue is only growing in concern. I told somebody recently, a third generation Mexican American girl living in California has more in common with a descendant of somebody who came over on the Mayflower than she has with someone who crossed the border from Mexico just last year. She grew up American, and her Americanness is what defines her. Her Mexican heritage is not what defines her. It's an interesting part of her. But the one who came across the border has a completely different culture and outlook. And people instinctively feel that. And you can hurl an accusation of racism as much as you want, and it doesn't change that. We're not rejecting illegal immigration in waves beyond imagination, millions, literally millions per year, out of some kind of racial or ethnic animosity. It's that these are people who are not like the rest of America, including those of the same ethnic heritage. And you can't get away from that, and everybody is feeling it. It's why huge swaths of Hispanic Americans are moving away from the Democrats. Huge swaths of Black Americans are moving away from the Democrats. And you can say that about every single ethnic group. And it all comes down to the border, among other things, the economy and other things.
What do you say to some of the Democrats that say that this is Republican fear-mongering and get into the whole great replacement theory and things like that?
I ask them where their kids go to school and how many newly arrived illegal immigrants are going to school with their kids, and they don't ever have an answer.
Lieutenant Rogers, I just want to get your thoughts. When it comes to the southern border, you have 12,000 illegal encounters. This is not including the gotaways, setting records on what seems to be a weekly or monthly basis. And when these numbers amount to, the totals, 200,000, 300,000 at the end of a month, these numbers are people that wind up staying in the country. And to Bart's point, a lot of these people, they're not what you would think or imagine as even economic migrants coming up from Central and South America. These are people coming from the Middle East, coming from mainland China and other parts of the world. As a former law enforcement official, how concerning is this to you?
Let me give you a perfect illustration. Last night, there were criminals attempting to enter the front steps of the White House, tearing down the fence. No doubt on the way would hurt police officers, but what stopped them? A wall. In this case, it was a fence. And my point is this: you have not all the people crossing the southern border, I'm saying, are criminals, all right? There are probably some people looking for a better life, but still you got to come here legally. But to your point, look, I worked on the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force for 2 years. And I know what the worry was. The worry was the drug mules, the human trafficking, but more importantly, the terrorists coming into the country via that border. So this is all about national security, and Joe Biden and the Democrats have failed to do what? to commit to the United States, to the people of this country, their first responsibility to protect us from foreign and domestic enemies. These are enemies crossing the border, and they should be dealt with as enemies.
A concerning topic indeed. Let's take a moment though to look at the scores that are coming in, especially the top 4 rankings. Most media have projected Trump, but let's look at what the numbers are so far. Right now, Trump is at 52%. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis at 20%. Nikki Haley just behind him at 19%. And we do have Vivek Ramaswamy at 8%. Now, this is with almost 40% of the vote in. We are seeing some big changes in the numbers there. Trump was at about 75 earlier. Now, Bart, what do you make of the changes in these numbers so far?
Well, I think it is shaping up to be an unexpectedly good night, a much better night for Trump than people were thinking, and a much better night for Ron DeSantis than people were expecting. Now you're at a place where some of the bigger cities are coming in, and I just saw Trump's numbers go up. They were dropping down to 51 and then low 51%, and now they're back up to over 52%. And I think that we're getting to a point now where we're probably going to see a glide path where they're going to stay about where they are.
And on that note, let's take a look at the Iowa County leader map and see what those numbers are showing us. See, there we have it. Trump is a little further ahead at 53.04%, DeSantis at 20.16%, Nikki Haley at 18.82%, Ramaswamy at 7.72%, and the rest are at 0.08%. Now, this is a little more of the vote in at 42.37%. Now, Lieutenant, we heard from Bart just now. What do you make of these numbers and how they've been changing throughout the night as more votes come in?
Well, and they're going to change as more votes come in, no doubt about it. And I've got to tell you, I believe the whole world, not just this country, is watching DeSantis and Haley at this point. It was a given that Trump would win, but everything now is focused on DeSantis and Haley. But I've got to tell you, I have a projected winner. The Iowa people, the people of Iowa, coming out, showing the world their grit, their determination through probably one of the worst snowstorms you could ever have during an election. So people of Iowa, they're the winners.
A very good point right there. Now let's check in with the Data Hub with Roman Balmakov. Roman, what are the numbers showing you?
That's right, Tiffany. Why don't we take a look at what the numbers are showing us? So before we dive in, I want to sort of remind people what the Des Moines Register poll right before the actual election was showing. So Trump was at 48%, right? This is the poll going into the race. Haley was at 20%. This is Haley. This is Haley. This is Trump. And Ron DeSantis was at 16%. This is Ron. Hope you guys can see that. I can see it perfectly, but I know sometimes the screen has issues with the camera. Now, the question here, like on my phone, everything is blowing up. I'm looking through Twitter, Instagram, social media. Trump wins, New York Times calls it for Trump, everyone's calling for Trump. That's the top line. The second line, though, will be by how much. And will he win every single county? Which, by the way, it looks like what's actually happening. So why don't we dive in and look at the numbers. So, by the way, before I click in, this map is quite interesting. So it's color coded. So the more red it is, the more Trump it is, and the more yellow, the more Haley it is. But if you look at the actual counties, there is no yellow. It's all Trump. And it's all ranging from dark red to kind of light gray, but it's all Trump. Every single county has Trump leading. Trump leading 44, Ron DeSantis number 2 at 23. Davenport, with a big city there, Donald Trump at 48, Nikki Haley at 24. You have suburbs right outside of Des Moines, Donald Trump at 51, Ron DeSantis at 25. And so at the top line, Donald Trump is right now at 52, Ron DeSantis at 20, and Nikki Haley at 18. So the question will be, what is the spread here? Donald Trump already won. That's the top line. He sucked the oxygen out of the media environment. So that's what people will be talking about tonight, tomorrow. But for the next 8 days, will Nikki Haley be able to say, hey, I came in number 2, I beat expectations, you should give me more donations heading into New Hampshire? Or will Ron DeSantis be able to come in and say, hey, the polls had me at number 3, I came in at number 2, I'm a viable candidate, give me the money heading into New Hampshire and South Carolina? So that's sort of what we're going to be looking at. Only 38% of the vote in, still a lot to kind of digest. So come back to me in 20 minutes. I'll give you more numbers. Otherwise, stay tuned for a commercial and then back to the desk.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
They're just young people, hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Abused youth often feel safer on the street. Now, more than ever, that's the most dangerous place of all. Covenant House is helping young adults facing homelessness. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming, and no young person is ever turned away. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month to help a young person. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Your gift will show them they're loved. Homeless young people are afraid and alone with nowhere else to turn.
You want to know that there's somewhere you can go that's safe. So the Covenant House did that for us.
Please call now with your gift of $19 a month. We'll send you this blanket as a reminder of the comfort your gift provides a young person tonight. Please don't wait. Your gift is the lifeline a young person needs now. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org. Thank you for saving precious lives.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022. And the threats go way beyond just credit card fraud. Today's identity thieves can open loans, transfer home titles, and even commit crimes in your name.
Someone got my social security number, made a driver's license, and it was used for criminal activity.
Your information is exposed through online shopping, banking, even corporate data breaches. No wonder there's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Only LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats all in one place.
I clicked, "That's not me," and LifeLock took it from there.
If you become a victim, a dedicated US-based restoration specialist will work to fix the issue. All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I will be with LifeLock forever.
Enrollment takes just minutes. Call now or go online and use promo code GET25 to save 25% on your first year. Enroll now.
And welcome back. As the night progresses, we move closer to the end of the first caucus of 2024. Let's come back to our guests now here at the panel as we take a look here at Trump headquarters, where the former president is set to give a speech. We're seeing that the numbers are continuing to come in. There was a relatively huge jump. It was like, last time Tiff was breaking it down for us, we went from 4% to 42%. Trump obviously coming down from the 70s where he was sitting. He's now sitting around 53%, which is a number that I'm sure he's very, very happy with seeing right now. Robert, what do you make of this as these numbers come in and Trump is hovering at a pretty comfortable 53%?
Yeah, we look at what's not in, and it looks like those are going to be stronger areas for Trump and DeSantis. And so I think that this idea that Haley was way up on DeSantis is probably going to evaporate. And we kind of anticipated that just because of the intensity and the bad weather and everything. But I think that's what we're seeing, and I expect Trump could go even further up. I mean, the idea of getting 53, 55 or something like that is possible, I think.
Roman was digging into the data at the Data Hub, doing a great job over there. He was looking at the counties, and if you look at the counties throughout Iowa, we'll pull it up here and show you. So far, former President Trump looks like he's every county that the count is in, where they've started counting the numbers. Trump is winning, except for one, right smack dab in the middle there, which looks like it may be Polk County, where the capital is, one of those urban/suburban areas where Nikki Haley was really focusing her efforts. Bart, when you see this, this is pretty decisive here.
It is. It is. If Trump comes away with more than 50% of the vote in Iowa, as it's looking likely he will, that really puts an end to the campaign nationally. You look at the polling. He's going to win New Hampshire. He's going to win South Carolina. If Nikki Haley can't win her own state, how is she going to win the national election? He's probably going to win Florida. If Ron DeSantis can't win his own state, Trump is showing his strength in Iowa. He learned a lesson when he ran in Iowa in 2016. He didn't pay attention to the ground game. He just said, we have rallies, we don't have a ground game. And he said this year, we have a ground game this year. Honestly, I didn't believe him. I believe him now. I believe him. And if he can do a ground game in Iowa, where it's not easy, then he will have one everywhere else too.
And Robert, do you agree with that assessment? Where do you see the other candidates going after Iowa if Trump does maintain his over 50% lead?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of the enthusiasm in New Hampshire that there might have been kind of start to fall away. Democrats and independents voting in the Republican primaries, kind of a spoiler, is probably a little less enthusiastic because they're seeing the writing on the walls. And then, I mean, you're going to hit that South Carolina wall. And that's the one perfect indicator is nobody, Democrat or Republican, has ever lost the South Carolina primary and gone to be president. Every president won their South Carolina primary in either party. And so, and I just don't see a scenario where, I mean, Trump doesn't win South Carolina big.
And as we pull up the county map again, there is a slight correction I want to make. It was not Polk County, it was Story County that Nikki Haley, right there, that yellow county there where Nikki Haley has taken the lead there for now, at least for now. Trump, it's Trump country. Iowa looks like Trump country right there. And speaking of Trump country, I'd like to introduce our next guest. He's a senior advisor to former President Trump, Cash Patel. If Cash is with us right now, we'll pull him up on the screen. There he is. Cash, great to see you here. What are you? How are you watching this? What do you make of it?
Hey, it's great to be with NTDV in this collective format. And I'm just watching everything that comes in like you all are and taking the facts as they come. And it's pretty abundantly clear that Iowans have spoken resoundingly for President Trump. And I think it's because they're responding to his policies and the wrong direction the country is currently going in. People care about a sealed border. People care about healthcare and the economy, but people also don't want to go to any more forever wars. They don't want Iran launching attacks at American service members. They don't want U.S. military soldiers killed, just like they tragically were a couple of days ago in a needless fight that could have been avoided with a strong commander-in-chief. And I think while those may be international, national security issues, they're permeating across everyday American communities, and Iowa just wants an America First agenda.
So, Cash, as we sit here tonight and watch delegates get counted and allocated, when it comes to the ballot and former President Trump being on the ballot, he's on the ballot tonight in Iowa, but there are two states that they're trying to get him off the ballot, and maybe more. Right now you have Colorado and Maine. So with that said, if they're successful in removing Trump, every vote counts, every delegate counts. How critical could these states be and the others that they're trying to remove him from?
You know, this whole issue with the ballot removal, in my opinion, is completely unconstitutional. Article 3 of the 14th Amendment specifically precludes its application to the presidency of the United States. And now you have state court officials weaponizing justice. And I think every time Donald Trump gets a chance to put on display, whether it's in state or federal court, Colorado, New York, Washington, or D.C., Americans are learning a civics lesson that they are trying to have their vote be removed by unelected officials. What Americans want is the opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choosing. And Donald Trump is exposing so much of this corruption. Look, I was one of the lead witnesses in the Colorado case where the state court ultimately decided, quote unquote, there was an insurrection, even though the state court has no ability to dictate that mandate over a federal constitution. And people are learning these lessons, and what they want is for a free and fair election, and the candidate championing that the most, in my opinion, is Donald Trump. And you don't have to believe me. As the numbers come in, I think people are responding.
Cash, we know politics can be a dirty game, especially when you have, media that becomes more political than journalistic. Heading into tonight's caucuses, there was a lot of chatter about whether or not Trump could beat that 50% threshold and what it would mean if he didn't. if things stand right now, what does 53%, which we see on the screen right now with roughly 43% of the vote in, what does that 53% mean to former President Trump?
I mean, that would be a monumental historic win. But I think when you see the mainstream media come out there and move the goalposts and say, oh, he's only at 48 and it should have been 51, or he's at 40 and it should have been 50. I think what you're seeing is they're trying to reshape the electoral landscape because they're saying a victory of this fashion should have been and wasn't. And the only thing I think that matters in politics is winning. If you finish number one, that's what matters. And if there's a dance for the second place finish, that's fine. I guess the other contestants can go have at it and spend another $70 million in the next state that's up there. But I think Donald Trump's campaign has done a wonderful job not letting anything to chance and saying the win is the win, and that is the focus. And the margin of the win, we'll figure that out tomorrow and the next day, and the pundits will talk about it. But if these numbers hold even remotely close, it is a win of historic proportions that even the mainstream media is having a tough time garbling.
Cash Patel, Senior Advisor to former President Trump, really appreciate you joining us. Thank you. And let's now go to the Data Hub, back to Roman Balmakov.
That's right. Okay, so this is the map, very much unchanged since the last time we gave an update, 38% of the vote in. And let me give you a few updates. And just as I'm giving you the updates, again, keep in mind, heading into this race, Trump was polling at 48%. So this was kind of the benchmark. Is he going to be above and below? He's already won. The question is he above or below this number heading into New Hampshire? So let's take a look. You cross that out. Let's look at the major cities here. We have Davenport, Trump at 48%, right? Nikki Haley, 24%. We have here, Johnson County, Donald Trump, 36%. Nikki Haley is actually pretty competitive in this county. Pretty much all the votes are in, but she was not able to secure that county either. You have Des Moines, Donald Trump at 40%, doing even better than Johnson County, and Nikki Haley at 29%. The reason I'm highlighting these particular counties is because these are the urban and suburban counties. So these were the counties where Nikki Haley's support was supposed to be. But as you can see, Donald Trump is securing even them. Here's the most interesting thing. In Iowa, you can draw a line this way right here. Here is where the population center pretty much resides. This is more open country, except for Sioux City, and you have one Council Bluffs, another city here. But pretty much, I made it a little too messy, but pretty much here is the population, and here is mostly farmland, right? This is mostly rural here. What's interesting is if I clear this, if you notice, these numbers aren't even in yet, right? So Donald Trump is at 52% without the rural counties numbers having come back yet. So the reason that's interesting is because, look, he was polling at 48%, right? At 40, let's click that, 48%, right? At the moment, 40% of the vote is in, and he's at 52%. Most of the remaining votes right here are rural counties. So it could very well be possible that he gets north of 48%, 50%, or even higher, which would, again, just take the oxygen out of the media environment. It would be very hard to challenge pretty much anything in terms of the narrative about Iowa, because Trump is definitely the winner, and it seems like it's tracking along the route of him being north of 50%. We, of course, don't know. The weather is like negative 30% when you account for the wind chill effect, and so maybe people out here are just not coming in to vote, but maybe that even supports Donald Trump because only the enthusiastic voters come, and as we know, according to the polls, the most enthusiastic are Donald Trump voters. And so, very interesting. We still have about 62% of the votes to account for, and so come back to me in 15-20 minutes. I hope to have this updated, and otherwise back to you at the desk.
Roman doing a great job highlighting some very interesting points and storylines that continue to play out. We'll be back to Roman shortly.
Indeed, and now to Epoch Times columnist Roger Simon. Now, Roger, we did say we'd go back to you, so what's new over there, Roger?
Well, you know, things are perking up here at Vivek Ramaswamy party headquarters. As you can see behind me, there is actually the semblance of the beginning of a crowd, but still no sign of the candidate, who has got to be disappointed with his numbers because he hasn't broken 10%. He's still in the 7-8 range, and it doesn't look that he's going to. Whether this is due to Donald Trump coming out and attacking him at the last moment is an open question. I think a question that we will never know the answer to. But I'd like to read to your audience something interesting that's on the wall here. right where he's scheduled to be speaking. It says, "Join the revolution and dismantle the deep state. Shut down the FBI, shut down the IRS, and shut down the Department of Education." This is probably the most explicit signage you're going to find from any of the candidates running in the Republican Party at this moment.
And Roger, given that Vivek hasn't broken that 10% mark, at least so far, where do you see him going from here? Is this the end of the road? Is he going to continue on? Any word on that?
It's likely that he's going to be speaking to us here at some time in the next hour or so. And at that point, he's going to probably have to deal with the question of whether he's marching on or not. Everybody will have his own and her own opinion about whether he should, and it's questionable. But, you know, we're going to be finding out something of it tonight. He may punt on that question, too. Candidates often do. They don't, you know, and then they make a speech, they say how great everybody is, and it's a noble fight, and the next day we find out they dropped out.
Well, Roger, thank you for that update. And we'll be back shortly with more coverage of the Iowa caucuses on The Nation Decides 2024. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Elijah. When I grow up, I want to be a robotic engineer.
Robert does everything he can as a grandfather to provide for Elijah and his 5 siblings.
Not being hungry allows my grandkids to live, to enjoy life.
When I'm hungry, it affects me. Like if I'm trying to read, I'll go to sleep, or if I'm trying to do something around class, I'll get distracted.
Every child has dreams, and every child needs healthy food to make those dreams come true. 1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
It helps us, like if we need some food, we'll go get food.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call now or go online at helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. When you get my credit card, you'll receive this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you're a part of a movement, to ensure that everyone has the food and resources they need to thrive. Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
Freedom is not free, and neither is the truth. In order to bring you the facts, our reporters are out there on the front lines getting the true story. Some of them served 10 years of prison in China. We've been censored on social media. Our Hong Kong printing offices were set on fire, and we've been repeatedly attacked by the Chinese Communist Party. But no matter what, we believe that you deserve the truth, and so we'll continue to bring the truth to life. Head on over to getepic.com and try honest journalism that is based in truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you!
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to NTD's live special coverage of The Nation Decides 2024 Iowa Caucus Night. We go now to Roman Balmakov with Data Hub. Now, Roman, given that most media have already projected Trump winning, let's zoom out a bit. Several states are trying to remove the former president from the ballot. The main ones are Maine and Colorado. They're both they're waiting the Supreme Court decisions that have disqualified him there. Now, 19 states have unresolved legal challenges. Given that Trump's doing so well tonight, how do you see this impacting him?
That's an interesting question, and the way it's sort of shaping out is if you've been following it, like I've been following it quite intensely. So there's sort of two tracks. One is you have a man by the name of John Anthony Castro. He's technically a candidate, a Republican candidate down in Texas, who is suing President Trump in over 24 states in order, well, he's suing the state to remove Trump's name. So that's sort of one track, and then you have these more left-leaning organizations also suing Trump. The cases in Colorado and Maine were these organizations. They're the ones that actually were somewhat successful in both these two states. However, what's going to happen is that these two cases will get consolidated, and they've already been accepted by the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court will just issue a blanket ruling for the whole country. It won't be like state by state. Some states won't have Trump, some states will. What will ultimately happen is that the Supreme Court will issue a blanket ruling. That should be coming down. I imagine they're going to expedite it. Of course, I can't speak for the court, but I imagine it'll be expedited rather shortly. So that's probably what is going to happen. Yeah, but there's still, besides these two, I think most states have some form of this type of a lawsuit, yeah.
To your point, of the 35 states that have legal challenges filed, Biden carried 22 of those in 2020. Trump carried 13. Now, given that some of these are very delegate rich, how important is this to Trump if he is removed from the ballot?
Well, that was always the thing. Like when it was Colorado and Maine, which were the states which ultimately decided to remove Trump, well, the secretaries of state, in this case, were ordered to, and in this case decided to remove him. It didn't really matter. It's not like Trump was competing in either Colorado or Maine, but it was the principle that mattered. If you do that in these two states, California, the lieutenant governor there issued a directive to the secretary of state to start the process. So that's why the Supreme Court, once they step in, they'll issue a blanket ruling, and the thing will be resolved one way or the other. You asked how tonight Iowa will actually affect the U.S. Supreme Court. It might. I mean, it might show them that, hey, this is a really viable candidate. People want to vote for him. That might sort of skew their decision if they needed skewing, because it seems like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 9-0 decision at the U.S. Supreme Court that they won't do it. I don't speak for the court. It could be a 9-0 decision in the other direction. Who knows? But that's my free legal analysis for you, Tiffany.
Well, Roman, thanks for that. And Steve, back to you at the desk.
Thank you, guys. Let's go to our Arlene Richards, who's reporting live from the Hawkeye State at the DeSantis headquarters. Arlene, what can you tell us?
Well, joining me right now is Epoch Times reporter Lawrence Wilson, who's been on the ground covering the DeSantis campaign for quite a while now. Lawrence, as you know, it's been called right now that former President Trump will be the winner in this race, or he is the winner in this race. How crucial is it for Governor DeSantis to stay ahead of Nikki Haley?
Well, everybody expected Trump to win, so that's no surprise. Mr. DeSantis would like to stay ahead of Nikki Haley, but really, if he can stay close, which he is now, he'll call that a victory because he's down in the polls, and he'll say, look, I told you the polls weren't exactly accurate, and I'm competitive more so than people were saying that I was. I think he would still like to get ahead of her, even by a significant margin. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Either way, I think he's going to take his campaign now to South Carolina and on to New Hampshire. Tomorrow, in fact, he has campaign stops. So he'll say it's a good result, and he'll keep moving.
Well, as you know, he has said that he doesn't believe in the polls, but what we're seeing tonight in terms of the results seem to be pretty similar to the polls. What's your comment about that?
Well, the polls were right, pretty much. And he began to pad his landing a little bit by saying that he enjoyed being an underdog, and he feels like he does the best when he's behind. So he understood this was not shaping up to be a big night for him. And now I think it shows us that ongoing, these polls are going to matter. And seeing that if he can't make headway against Donald Trump, Nikki Haley in the polls, likely isn't going to do so at the ballot box.
All right. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for your comments. All right, back to you.
NTD's Arlene Richard reporting live from the DeSantis headquarters in Iowa.
And let's come back to our guests, Bart McCoys and Robert Cahaley. Now, when Lawrence Wilson mentioned polls are important, you chuckled there. You are a pollster. Give us a sense of how important polls are when it comes to the election cycle.
I think that it sets the expectation bar, and I think that was something that, if you notice, Trump at some point about 6 weeks ago started kind of talking about the fact that don't let this convince you not to turn out, because I think there was a worry that they would sell he just underperformed, and you felt like there was a little bit of a chance for that. So I feel like he started adjusting to it. But if you look at the RCP average, all of us are within like 2 or 3 points of each other. I mean, 5 or 6 different polling companies, different methodologies. It's kind of freaky. Like, I've not seen anything this close. Usually there's a much bigger variance between where everybody is, but this is not necessarily a very diverse state, and so it's not exactly a difficult state. The turnout makes it a little harder, but as far as polling it's not in New Hampshire where they enjoy lying to you.
And on that note, I see you chuckling away there. How much do you see this coming down to the organization from each campaign?
Well, it really matters in both of these states. The people, there's a lot of criticism of Iowa and New Hampshire as the first in the nation states. They say it's too white, it's too Christian, it's too this, it's too that. But you know what? It's like I said earlier, the people of Iowa and the people of New Hampshire demand to be spoken to by a presidential candidate, or in the case of Donald Trump, because of the distractions of the trial, by a high-level surrogate. They take it seriously, and organization matters. There are lots of what I like to call petty barons in politics here, and every one of them needs to have his or her back scratched, and they have to feel, you have to pay attention to them. It's a mistake George W. Bush made back in, I forget, 2000. He didn't do very well in New Hampshire because all the petty barons had their backs up because he had taken it for granted. And organization matters, especially in these early states. It's showing that Donald Trump really did learn his lesson.
It does look like it, given what the numbers are showing us. But we'll be right back with The Nation Decides 2024, so stay tuned.
The tempting online world is encroaching on our campus. Is unplugging cables and confiscating phones the solution to protect our children? No, we just need a clean multimedia platform. Join Ganjing Campus to leverage premium channel features, professional development courses, and kindness event toolkits tailored for teachers. Build a truly positive and interactive classroom community. Foster a pure and delightful learning environment for children.
We've been spending a lot more time than ever at home these days, so maybe now you've just noticed cold air coming in from a couple windows, or that your patio door isn't closing fully, which means you're losing heat in the winter, losing cooling in the summer, losing money all year long. And that means now is the time for new windows and patio doors from Renewal by Andersen. Most installations are usually done in just one day. Renewal by Andersen windows and doors can help lower your heating bills and air conditioning bills with their most energy efficient glass available. Only their windows are made with Fibrex material, proven to be 2 times stronger than vinyl. And they're backed by a 20-year warranty. And right now, when you buy one window or patio door, get one at 40% off. Plus, there's no money down, no payments for 12 months, and no interest for 12 months. Plus, an additional $200 off your entire purchase.
1-800-218-1510.
What was the process of actually putting this all together?
Many, many hours of finding the right camera angles and watching it. The first trouble started just after 1 o'clock.
45 pages, here it is right here. Donald Trump has been indicted.
Somber day for the country.
This all happened before President Trump's speech was over.
The founder of the Oath Keepers militia group is headed to prison for more than 18 years.
His lawyers didn't have this video. The video we're watching right now, his own lawyers did not have. There was a big question of what did the people do who actually did enter the building.
This is where we picked it up with the security footage that is new. At this point, the story dramatically changes.
The New Jersey man who assaulted a Capitol police officer on January 6th has been sentenced.
So this was withheld.
This was not shown to the defense.
That could be considered exculpatory evidence. This doesn't seem like what a lot of the media is showing.
It's going to change narratives no matter what your political perspective is. What we're after is the truth.
Thank you for joining us on this First in the Nation Iowa caucus on The Nation Decides 2024.
And let's go check in with Iris with more on her on-the-ground reporting. Iris, what is the latest there?
So as you can see right now at the Trump campaign headquarters right here in Des Moines, we are seeing an increasingly crowded stage as well as below the stage here. We're expecting former President Trump to come out to speak anytime soon. Meanwhile, we heard that Trump just reacted to a projected win to Fox News Radio, saying that he feels great. He's truly honored by such an early call, saying it's a tremendous thing and a tremendous feeling. Meanwhile, just moments ago, we talked to Bruce Lavelle, who's a senior advisor to Trump, who are here in this rally, in this watch party right here. So let's hear what he has to tell us about the currently projected win by Trump. Let's take a listen. So first of all, Bruce, thank you for your time, for being here. We have seen several outlets already calling Trump's victory tonight. What's your breakdown of the voters' support for him, especially when it comes to different ethnic groups?
Well, I think it's going to be a landslide. It's going to be a record number when everything is tallied here in Iowa, unlike we've never seen before. We have two records, the coldest night ever in caucus history and also a record landslide. And I think we will be above 50%. I really believe that in my heart. And
of course, Trump's campaign says, of course, the general election is the biggest day to come. Yes. How do you think tonight's victory potentially will carry on to the general election in this race?
Well, it sends out, one thing I love about Iowa, and by the way, all the Iowa people, I love Iowa. It's so cool. It sets that tone, it sets that, okay, on your mark, get ready, set, go. And that's what it's that boost, it's that energizing, of course, the caucus, but also the other voters. And, thank God for the new digital age where we can get all this great media so quick. So it's actually more in your face for a lot of voters say, hey, we need to get involved and get engaged. So, and of course, as we go on into New Hampshire and of course Nevada and then over to South Carolina and so on, it only energizes every caucus we hit, especially for our base. And obviously, you're right, it does count in the general. The general will be a battle. It sure will. It would definitely be a battle.
Bruce, thank you so much. Really appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me.
And speaking of the general election tonight, President Biden's campaign was fundraising off of Trump's projected win here. They sent out an email to their supporters saying, quote, the Iowa results are in and it's clear Donald Trump is the official frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, saying we need to work even harder now. Biden's campaign is warning of what they call vile attacks, endless lies, and massive spending if Trump secures the Republican nomination. So we are already seeing this face-off between Biden and Trump as we expect Trump to win tonight. Of course, as we're speaking right now, Trump might take the stage anytime soon. And one of his aides posted on social media X saying that showing Trump actually in front of two big TV screens watching the election results coming in. So we could expect Trump to come here soon. Back to you.
Iris, thank you. And we do just want to bring to your attention that the gentleman just interviewed is actually Bruce Lavelle, a senior Trump advisor. And now back to our panel. Back with us, we have President of American Principles Project and former Congressional Campaign Manager Terry Schilling, and of course, former campaign advisor Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, or better known as Captain America. Great to have you both back with us. Now, let's quickly look at the scores and the top four rankings and see if those numbers have changed any bit since we were last on Let's pull up those numbers and see what's happening. There we have it. Trump is still at 52%, DeSantis at 21%, Nikki Haley at 19%, and Vivek Ramaswamy at 8%. Now, this is with 76% of the vote in. Quite a big difference there. Now, Terry, what do you make of these numbers now that so much of the vote is in?
Well, look, if you've been paying attention to the polling, there really aren't any surprises tonight, right? So I think that if there were surprises, I think that if a Nikki Haley or a Ron DeSantis came super close to Donald Trump, they'd have a lot of momentum going into New Hampshire, and that might actually be a race. But what we're seeing is 30-point plus victory, which is what the polls were showing in Iowa. I think that New Hampshire will probably be a 20-point victory, which is what the polls have been showing in New Hampshire. And I think going to South Carolina, he'll probably have a 30-point victory. Things aren't changing. There were no surprises, and I don't think that we'll have any surprises next week or any of the weeks going forward.
On that note, we do see Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley still basically tying and neck. Now, in 2020, the Democrats decided to announce multiple outcomes. This was before and after realignment. Now, what happens if Nikki Haley and DeSantis stay very close? What do you see the GOP doing?
I'm wondering who's going to drop out. It may be Vivek dropping out. And I believed all along that he wasn't in it to win. He was in it to position himself for the future. This honeymoon he had with Donald Trump, to me, was him setting himself up to become an ally of Trump. So I would say he's liable to drop out and support Trump. Regarding DeSantis and Haley, they're both going to move on, I believe, to a few more primaries, and then after those results come in and there's a clear winner in second place, you'll see one of them drop out. But will the one who drops out make a deal with the winner? And then Trump's going to have a real challenge moving forward.
And to both of your points, when it comes to somebody like Ron DeSantis, the question is, what is his strategy? What is his path? Some have said, it's not a good strategy to wait for somebody to be indicted, convicted, or to get ill, God forbid. So what is Ron DeSantis' strategy when he comes in here with a pretty formidable 21%, but still Trump, breaking records in the caucus with right now 51.
Well, look, I think that the main thrust of DeSantis' campaign was always to be the grown-up version of Donald Trump, or the nicer, more polite version of Donald Trump. But that's not what voters want right now, right? The voters already look at Donald Trump as a very successful businessman. He's a professional. And you know what, frankly, with everything that's going on in this country, right, our kids are being taught to use the wrong bathrooms. They're being taught all this crazy stuff in school, to hate their peers based on the color of their skin, to hate themselves based on the color of their skin, all this crazy stuff. I think the American people, at least the Republican voters, want the mean tweets back. I think they want people that are actually going to stand up for them and punch the bad guys that are trying to destroy our families, our country, right in the teeth.
Robert, do you think that this caucus so far, if the results stand as they will, might be different than some of the other ones in 2008 and 2012, when you saw somebody like Ted Cruz actually beat the former president in 2016, and then, of course, the president going on to win? Is this different right now, where you have former President Trump at such a commanding lead that it may be quite difficult for somebody to surpass him?
Well, President Trump's been consistent from day one. This guy hasn't flipped on many policies. And as you hear, Trump is Trump, and he is speaking. He's become the voice of millions of Americans, okay? They're angry, they're upset, they want to get back at the establishment, they want the country back. So he's speaking Main Street USA. And maybe for the first time in recent history, Main Street USA is waking up, and they're going to take down the establishment. And that's what the problem is. He is a threat to the establishment. But it's not only him being a threat to the establishment, it is the people of the country from school board level all the way up to the White House. So kudos to him.
And I want to zoom out a little bit here. Terry, some are saying that the Republican caucus in Iowa is some of the most transparent in the nation when it comes to voting. They're noting caucus goers write their preferred candidate as they walk in. Each campaign has a person who can observe the process as those votes are tallied, and then those results are read aloud to everyone to hear in the room who wants to hear them, and then they're put online on an app for people to track and see if there's any discrepancies. Now, given the increasing concern over election meddling, especially since 2020, even 2016, do you agree that this is a transparent type of voting?
I participated in a caucus. I did it in 2008. It is a very easy, accessible process that's transparent. If there's fraud in a caucus, you get together with all of the Republican voters from your own precinct and you vote for who you want to be the nominee. It's the most transparent. There's no rigging that election, right? It's not where you're sending out tens of millions of ballots that you then send through the U.S. Postal Service that can be intercepted or manipulated in some way. This is one of the most transparent and straightforward elections, and Donald Trump's crushing it. I think if more of our election, or I think if our general election going into this fall is just as transparent as this, I think we'll have a very similar outcome.
Which, and just to, excuse me, Terry's point, we haven't mentioned it too much how the Democrats operate in Iowa, but they do mail-in caucusing.
So the whole mail-in thing is a little bit different, but the Democrats have a different caucus system than the Republicans do. Theirs is much more engaging. There's several rounds of votes that they have, and there are candidates that get eliminated if they don't reach a certain voter threshold. So it's a totally different process on the Democratic side. If you remember in 2020, it was a nightmare for their results. I mean, they didn't even, Bernie Sanders or Pete Buttigieg actually probably won those caucuses, but we never knew.
There still isn't a determined winner there. Yeah.
It's a total mess.
Some good points right there, and we'll be right back with more coverage after this very short break, so stay tuned.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now, Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one get one free offer goes away.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
And welcome back to The Nation Decides 2024, our special coverage of the Iowa caucuses. Right now, you can see here we have the feed of the Trump headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa, where the former president is expected to give a victory speech with 83% of the vote already in. Former President Trump projected to win that state's Iowa caucus. And this is a culmination of months of the candidates tracking the whole state, millions of campaign dollars, and a lot of man hours put out there.
Indeed, and we are joined back by Terry Schilling and Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, or Captain America. On the note of how much of the vote is in, let's pull up those charts right now, the top 4 rankings, and see if the numbers have changed any. Let's see here. Okay, so Trump is at 51%, Ron DeSantis is 21%, Nikki Haley 19%, Vivek Ramaswamy at 8%. This is at 83.46. Seems like those numbers are staying pretty much what they have been, even with more votes coming in. Terry, how do you read this?
Look, how I see it, I think we broke this down a little bit earlier, is DeSantis, Trump, Ramaswamy, they're in that America First column, right? Haley, she's in the Bush, the more establishment wing of the party. So right now you got 81% of the Republican Party is in that America First lane. There's really no more openings for another Bush type candidate or a Haley type candidate. I think what the Republican Party is saying is they want more focus on working class people instead of focusing on the top wage earners and the business owners. They don't want more foreign wars. They want to return back to normalcy in America. They want to focus on our families. They want to focus on our local businesses. This is the message that we're getting. Nikki Haley got a ton of money, millions and millions. I think Christie said it was $68 million. That's an insane amount of money, and it's not coming from grassroots voters like what Trump's getting. So I think that this is the message, is that the Republican Party is now officially America First. It has been for some time, but this makes it very clear that Trump was not some fleeting moment for the GOP. It's a long-term project for us.
On that note, let's bring up the Iowa county leader map and just look at the breakdown there and what the numbers and colors are showing up. I mean, it looks like most of that map is Trump. What do you make of that, Captain America?
Well, I've got to tell you, right now, what people are focused on is the margin between Trump and everyone else, but especially second place. So obviously Trump's a winner, but by how much? And how much of a boost does this give to, let's say, DeSantis, who's now in second? How much of a jump does that give him in South Carolina and the primary states coming up? So it's not over. As Yogi Berra said, it's not over till it's over.
And speaking of the counties, while we have them up, there are 99 of them in Iowa. Roman set the record straight earlier at the Data Hub that the true, what they call the Grassley, is not just reaching all 99, but holding an event in each one. Terry, I want to ask you, when it comes to the endorsement, a lot of them coveted, some mean more than others. On the eve of this election tonight, former President Trump received two pretty big ones. Others have as well. How much do these endorsements, and one thing I do want to note is actually, Senator Rubio was one of those for former President Trump. However, Senator Chuck Grassley, the Iowa senator, he seemed to have stood this one out and didn't endorse anyone.
Look, I think endorsements are good for startup campaigns. They really make a difference in that regard. They basically give the donor class credibility. They give you credibility with the donor class, and they also tell some grassroots activists that might volunteer for these guys to go support this candidate. But voters in the Republican Party are independent-minded, right? They don't just vote however their governor tells them to vote or however their U.S. senator votes. They vote what they think the country needs at the time. And so I'm not a big fan of endorsements. I don't like to do them myself, because I just don't think that I'm the best equipped to tell voters how they should vote on every situation. But I don't think it really mattered here. I think Trump is undergoing severe attacks. He did a great job for this country, and I think voters know he got shorthanded, and they want to send him back.
Lieutenant, I've heard a former congressman been asked before, how much does an endorsement from a congressman mean? And he says, I think you lose votes. So,
yeah. Well, to my colleague's point, I don't believe in this century people are very attentive to endorsements. It's probably worse to have an endorsement than not to have one. So I happen to believe the American people are going to vote with their hearts and what's in their best interest, not being told by some other elected official that this person will do better for you. The people of this country know what's better for them.
Now, on the note of funding, Nikki Haley does have the backing of the Koch network. Now, we have seen that super PACs are not supposed to be coordinating with campaigns. Are they taking on a greater role in this election cycle?
Look, the super PACs have always had a big role ever since Citizens United. I think right now it was interesting to see who these big players were going to get behind. Was it going to be DeSantis or Haley? Or we knew they weren't going to go for Trump. I mean, Trump's made it very clear that he doesn't care about the donor class or the wealthiest Americans in this country. He just cares about America as a whole. They threw their support behind Nikki Haley. I think a lot of them first got behind DeSantis, saw that he was failure to launch, and then they got behind Nikki Haley. She was failure to deliver. It's the big question that I'm concerned about is, will they get behind Trump now that it's obvious he's going to be the nominee? Right? That's going to tell us a lot about these people's interests and whether or not they actually want to do the right thing for this country. Because 4 more years of Joe Biden or any one of these crazy Democrats that's out there, it'll destroy the country.
Robert, what is your take?
I believe DeSantis has an opportunity here, but he's got to clean house again. He's got to change his strategies and tactics. He's got to really get into the heart, soul, and spirit of the American people. I believe he can do it. He did it in Florida. But it's going to be him making decisions down the road as what is the best interest in his campaign in this country. You can tell it's getting late. I'm beginning to slur a little. But I've got to tell you, this is an exciting election, and I'm glad I'm here to participate in it.
Well, on that note, let's turn now to Epoch Times columnist and author of the new book, American Refugees, Roger Simon. Now, Roger, what can you tell us? What is the latest since the last time we checked in?
Okay, can I hear you? A little louder. It's deafening in here. The music is really up.
Roger, the music does sound quite loud there, but if you can hear me, what is the latest?
I can hear you. Okay, well, the music here is deafening, but I've been talking to a number of people connected with the Ramaswamy campaign, people I knew from doing the roller coaster with Vivek, and they're all very closed-mouthed. They don't. When I ask them the operative question, which is whither, I don't get much of an answer, and maybe they don't know. But the situation is not optimistic, to be clear. On the other hand, there are a lot of people here who love the character and love that Vivek gave an original campaign. It's certainly the most original of all candidates. So I talked to 2 of them, and we recorded what they had to say just as they came out of voting for Vivek in the caucus. This is Roger Simon. I'm here with Mitchell and Tracy Turner, residents of Metro Des Moines. As what they call the area, like they have Metro Nashville where I live. These guys, this is caucus night. It's barely started, and these 2 people have caucused for Vivek Ramaswamy. Will you tell me why you made that decision?
So we really liked his policies. The biggest ones was his 10 truths. They really resonated with us. Also, the fact that he wants to shut down the southern border. He wants to help bring up American GDP to above 5% growth, and also bring back revitalize American nationalism.
Any further addition?
Yeah, I think when you think about the future, and I think about my family and the children and the generations to come, Vivek is the answer. It gives me hope for what's to come, and I'm really rooting for him.
Well, how are you feeling now? We're at a point where the counting of the polls is showing him coming in around 8%. Are you disappointed? How are you feeling about it?
I'm not disappointed. I'm still optimistic. I'm really hoping that we'll see a little bit more of a surprise than what others are expecting for. So the night is young. Really looking forward to see what's coming in here in the next couple hours.
Well, the music volume is deliberately up here. I believe it's up because the atmosphere is down. It's an almost like a graph, and still no word of when Vivek will appear to speak to these people. And I think he owes it to them, but we'll find out, because so far there's no hide nor hair of him, nor anybody speaking in his behalf, which is probably also a mistake, but it is what it is. This isn't the happiest time to be reporting from here. Frankly, there are other headquarters I'd rather be at, but that's the truth.
Well, Roger, thank you for that update, and I hope your ears aren't hurting from all that music.
And let's go to the Data Hub now, back with Roman Balmakov of the Epoch Times.
That's right. The night is beginning to kind of fizzle out, meaning that the numbers have come in. So let's take a look at them. Right now, we're looking at 82% of the votes in, and something interesting is shaping up here. So let me write down next to the actual percentage what was projected by the polls. Trump was projected to take in 48%. Ron DeSantis was projected to take 16%. Nikki Haley was at 20%, and Vivek was at 8%. But you see what's happening here, and this is the real question here, because listen, the name of this program is The Nation Decides, but it's already concluded that Iowa has decided in favor for Trump. Now the question is the margin of victory, right? And so 48%, but 51%. If he can sort of, as the remaining 16% come in, if he can maintain his lead above, well, if he can maintain his margin above 50%, that'll be a huge story going into New Hampshire. It'll essentially suffocate any other story. It'll take the oxygen completely out of the media environment. And that is looking possible, because if you take a look here, so right here, this area here of Iowa is more urban and suburban. This area here is more rural. And this is where the numbers are still coming in predominantly. So it's still possible that Trump will maintain this 51%. Maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down below 50%, but it's still looking above 48%. It's a projection. You never know what it'll ultimately be at, but that's sort of where we're trending. Now, what's interesting, though, is Ron DeSantis, if you notice, he was polling at number 3, but at the moment, with 84% of the votes in, he is at a pretty comfortable number 2. So if we take a look at a few of the bigger counties, the more populous counties, these were Haley strongholds. So like Scott County, 99% of the vote in, 23, not bad. But what that means is there's no more votes coming in, right? Same thing with Des Moines, 87%. Ron DeSantis actually clinched the victory here. Nikki Haley was at number 3, and with so few votes coming in, it looks like things won't get shifted around. All right, Trump is actually coming up, about to give a speech, so let's head on over and watch that. We can come back here later.
He's got the support of the
And we're going to go to the president now as he approaches the podium.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all. What a turnout, what a crowd. And I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together, whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative. It would be so nice if we could come together and straighten out the world and straighten out the problems and straighten out all of the death and destruction that we're witnessing. It's practically never been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon. I want to thank some of the great people. We have so many senators, and I go through every name. We'll be here all night, and everybody's going to get angry at me. But the senators, the congressmen from Washington, they came down from all different states. I want to thank you very much. I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together. And I think they both actually did very well. I really do. I think they both did very well. We don't even know what the outcome of second place is. And I see Carrie Lake. Congratulations, Carrie. I spotted her, I have to announce, because she's terrific. Going to be a senator, a great senator, I predict, right? Going to be a great senator. And I also want to congratulate Vivek, because he did a hell of a job. He came from 0, and he's got a big percent, probably 8%, almost 8%, and that's an amazing job. They all did. They're all very smart, very smart people, very capable people. I think most importantly, I want to thank my incredible wife, First Lady, I'll say former and maybe future. But more important than Melania, I want to thank her incredible, beautiful mother who passed away a few days ago. And she's up there, way up there, she's looking down and she's so proud of us. And I just want to say to Amalia, you are special, one of the most special people I've ever known. And that was a tough period of time for the family, but she's amazing, she was amazing. So I just want to thank what she's done for our family and her husband, who's home right now and very lonely. He's a lonely man, but he's going to be okay. Victor, great people, great parents to all of us, really, great parents, but also to Barron. Boy, did she take care of Barron. That's how he got so tall. He only ate her food. And I want to thank my family generally. They've worked so hard, and they've taken so much abuse for being good people. I mean, good people, but Eric and Don, they really did. These two have been working so hard, and they have another job also, so they have to do it all, but they've been working so hard. And I know that Ivanka is home and Tiffany's home, they're watching, and I know that Barron's watching, good old Barron. I said, you're going to be a basketball player. I said, well, I like soccer, Dad, actually. I said, at your height, I like basketball better, but sometimes you can't talk them into everything. But he's a special boy. But the whole family is just incredible. And my sister, Elizabeth, who's just the biggest fan. She's just an incredible person and always supportive. We love Elizabeth so much. Also, we have a woman who took a big chance. You know, in most states we have support of everybody, the Congress, the senators. We had Marco Rubio, we had Rick Scott the other day. Probably 55% of the senators, and now they're all calling and saying, we want to endorse you, sir. I said, okay. Same thing with the Congress, men and women. We have tremendous, much more than anybody probably has ever had in this position. And we love them all, they're great. They're really trying to do a good job for our country. But one woman in Iowa who really stepped up was your Attorney General, Brenna Bird. She really stepped up. She stepped up. She's going to be your governor someday, I predict. We'll be watching, but she really did. She broke away from the pack. And she had tremendous courage, and it wasn't easy. In some states it's easy, in other states it's a little bit more difficult. But we have really the support of the people of Iowa, which has been just incredible. Another man who was actually the first person to endorse me in the entire country. He's a state senator. His name is Brad Zahn. He looks like he's the most handsome guy, I think. Oh, you made it. He had to drive from his Caucus location. You made it. I call him the Marlboro Man.
Well, I'll tell you, I had to actually do a TV interview bragging about you. The reason why I was late is because of that. But is he awesome or what? I am honored to be the first person in the United States to endorse this guy. The next president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump!
And when he says endorse, we're really talking about 2015. He endorsed me before, actually, long before I knew I was going to run. I said, who's this man in Iowa? He's a senator, a state senator. He's a good-looking guy, too. Doesn't he look? You could pay him and give him a lot of money. And by the way, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for being here. You are so great. Comes all the way from Missouri, which isn't that far. You can't drive an electric car that far, though. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. The group of people that we have on the stage is just emblematic of the tremendous group that we've had. We've had such a great team. You know, we did well. We were looking really good in 2016. And just to go back to the senator, he was saying, I said, who is that guy? Brad, his name. Who is he? He keeps endorsing me. He keeps saying Trump. And I didn't even know I was running. He endorsed me 4 months before I knew I was running, about 4 months before the Escalade ride down with our great First Lady. And that was Brad. I said, who is he? So he was the first one. But we have people that are so incredible. Your Republican Party Chairman, Bobby Kaufman, and his son, who is a brilliant guy, and he worked with us. And I will tell you, that is a family of real professionals. Matt Whitaker, who is the very talented and very good Attorney General. Matt is around here somewhere, so he's been with us all the way. You know, we have a man that was very impressive. And I say, there's nothing wrong with it. He's so solid and so good that he didn't catch on. Sometimes being a little controversial is good. He's so perfect. Although he did break his leg during the campaign, that wasn't so good. But it sort of stood out a little bit. But Doug Burgum from North Dakota, the governor, and his beautiful wife, Catherine, and we got out of the race. What people don't know is that he actually supported me on the other side twice already, right? Then he decided to do it, and he was outstanding. But the traction is never easy, right? You need controversy for traction sometimes, and this guy is the most solid guy. There's no controversy whatsoever, and he's one of the best governors in our country, and I hope that I'm going to be able to call on him to be a piece of the administration, a very important piece of the administration. And also, just to conclude with this, the entire Trump team, and that includes my two boys who are really here all the time, whenever we needed them. Whenever we needed them. They are great, Eric and Don. And look at all these people. Oh, Susie, I have to say. And Chris. And they want no accolades. They just want a victory, and they want to make America great again. That's all they want, actually. They don't want to be speaking. They don't want to have pictures. They just want to do their job, right? I want to thank you very much, Jason, everybody. You're really fantastic. What a job you've done. Thank you. So we're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. We're going to seal up the border. Because right now we have an invasion. We have an invasion of millions and millions of people that are coming into our country. I can't imagine why they think that's a good thing. It's a very bad thing. I think it's a group of people that are probably larger in number than New York State. And we can't have that. We can't have that. It's not sustainable as a country. It's horrible. And you know, they're coming from prisons and jails. They're coming from all over. They're coming from countries that most people have never heard of. And they're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're being emptied out into our country. And they're terrorists. Many terrorists are coming in. You know, in 2019, I saw just recently on a poll, they had none in 2019, no terrorists. Now, I even say there's got to be some, but they have none. And then as soon as this group took over, they have hundreds and hundreds of terrorists coming in, known terrorists, some of them really bad. And many of them are in, and they came in, and nobody knows where they are. This is not a good thing. And we're going to have to deport. We're going to have a deportation level that we haven't seen in this country for a long time, since Dwight Eisenhower, actually. So I don't want to be overly rough on the president, but I have to say that he is the worst president that we've had in the history of our country. He's destroying our country. And, you know, my wife attended the funeral 2 months ago of Rosalind Carter, and it was beautiful. And Jimmy Carter was there, and I thought to myself, Jimmy Carter is happy now, because he will go down as being a brilliant president by comparison to Joe Biden. He'll be a brilliant president. He's going to be known as brilliant by comparison. So we have to stop the invasion. We have to bring down our energy. We have to, you know, I say all the time, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation anywhere in the world. And we have to stop the crime, and we have to help rebuild our cities, and we have to rebuild the Capitol, Washington, D.C. I was there on one of the Biden indictment trials. You know, this is the only person this never happened before, but I go to a lot of courthouses because of Biden, because they're using that for election interference. And it's on things like election, and I don't know if you know, but they did polls tonight on the election of 2020. Do you believe it was honest or not? 82% said it was not. And we can't have that, Chairman. We can't have that. You can't have a situation like that. So we're going to straighten out our elections. We're going to do a lot of great things. We're going to try and go to paper ballots as soon as possible. Voter ID. One day elections. You know, we have these elections that last for 62 days, and if you need some more time, take as much time as you want, and so many bad things happen. We have to get rid of mail-in ballots, because once you have mail-in ballots, you have crooked elections. Actually, Jimmy Carter's commission said that a long time ago. We're going to rescue our economy. We're going to save our economy. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. There was never a greater economy, and now we don't. And when you look at what's happened with inflation, inflation is destroying. You know, they call it a country killer. Going back hundreds of years, Germany, countries that had big inflation are dead. They become dead countries. We have to stop that immediately, and we want peace through strength. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine, would have never done it. Putin and I get along fine. We get along very well. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The fake news, which if the fake news would become real and honest news, 90% of our problems in this country would be solved. They would be solved. So, Russia would have never attacked. Israel would have never been attacked. The Ukraine situation is so horrible. The Israeli situation is so horrible. What's happened? And we're going to get them solved. We're going to get them solved very fast. I actually said Ukraine. I know President Putin very well. I know Zelensky very well. I'm going to get him in. We're going to get it solved very quickly. It should have never happened. Would have never happened. Now you have all that death, far greater than people understand. The numbers are far, far greater than anybody would even think possible. You're going to find that out in the years to come. When they knock down these massive buildings in Ukraine, and then you see they announced 2 people were slightly wounded. No, many people were killed. Many people were killed. We're going to get it stopped. But it's so sad because it should have never started. People killed and a culture destroyed. You can never replace 1,000-year-old buildings with the most beautiful golden domes and churches and everything, just all rubble now. And it's so sad. Would have never, ever happened. And likewise, Israel would have never been attacked. It all comes from Iran, and we would have had to deal with Iran very quickly at the election, where we, by the way, got, and I say we because it's all we got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. But they say we lost by a whisker. But regardless of that, we're going to do incredible things, and we're not going to let China do what they'd like to do. I get along great with him also, President Xi. He's a very strong leader. And we're going to get things solved. We're going to get the Ukraine war solved. We're going to get the Israeli situation solved. But if you think back to that, Iran was broke. I said to every country, anybody does business with Iran, buys oil from Iran, they were broke. We're not going to let you do business in the United States. And that's the way it is. They did very little business, almost sold no oil. Nobody wanted to do that. That's a big penalty. And what happened is they had no money to give to Hamas and to give to Hezbollah. And in fact, there were a lot of stories at the time. They had no money for terror. And for 4 years, we had no terror. We had the terror ban. They called it the Trump travel ban, but it was really the Trump terror ban. We don't want people in our country that are going to blow up our shopping centers. Thank you very much. And We want a country of law and order. So we're going to rebuild the capital of our country, Washington, D.C. We're going to scrub those beautiful marble columns and get the swastikas off them. And we're going to scrub them and get the graffiti off them. And we're going to clean the streets and we're going to rebuild the streets. And we're not going to have rusted medians through the middle that are falling down into the roads where foreign dignitaries from all over the world come and they look. And we're not going to be riding on top of garbage like I did just a month ago, riding on top of garbage. We're going to rebuild our beautiful Washington, D.C., and we're going to take control of it, and we're going to make unbelievably harsh penalties for people that go around shooting. Last week they shot 3 people, and every night something happens. It's so sad. And likewise, we're going to rebuild our cities, and we'll work with the Democrats to do it. I'd be glad to work with the people in New York. We're going to work with the people in Chicago and LA. We're going to rebuild our cities, and we're going to make them safe. And we're going to give our police officers immunity. So every time they do something, they don't get sued and stopped. We're going to end crime in our cities. In Iowa, you don't know what that means, but this is a different place. You don't know about crime. You don't know about getting mugged and getting whacked and getting thrown into subways. We're going to stop it. And we're going to come down very hard on criminals, and we're going to stop crime in America. So I want to just finish by saying that this has been an incredible experience. The people have been, this is the 3rd time we've won. But this is the biggest one. They said, well, if you win by 12%, that's a big win. That's going to be very hard to do. Well, I think we more than doubled that, I guess. Tripled it, maybe. They said, you'll never get over 50, and I just left and we're at 54. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with it, but they said, you can't do that, sir. I said, what's about the highest? Well, you could get into the 40s, maybe 40, 41. And then I looked up, and, you know, it was very interesting. I didn't know they called it early. I thought that they called it at about 10 o'clock. My impression. See this gentleman? He's dressed like a wall. I love this guy. He's been at 150 rallies probably, right? He has the most beautiful outfit I've ever seen. It's all beautiful brick. Will you come up here? Just come up here. Come on. It's so nice. Come on up here. He's emblematic of what we did. We built over 500 miles of wall. We were going to add another 200 miles. It's much more than we promised. And we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Look at this man. Congratulations. Nice to see you. Take care of yourself. I love that outfit. I love it. That's great. We love it. That's a hot-selling jacket, by the way. But that represents what we did. No, we built a tremendous, that's the reason. And we got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free. And we had Remain in Mexico, and we had Catch and Release in Mexico. And we did it. We had the safest border in our history. We had the greatest economy in our history. We were a great nation 3 years ago, and now we're a nation in decline. We are going to turn it around so fast. It's going to happen so fast. We're going to drill. We're going to we're going to have great wealth. We're going to drill. We're going to use that money to lower your taxes even further. We gave you the biggest tax cut in history. And we're going to lower them further, and we're also going to pay off national debt. It's about time. It's about time. So it's now off to New Hampshire, a great place. We won it last time, and we won it both times. And we love it. The people are great. But you know, the truth is the people in our country are great. They're all great. So we love Iowa, but they're all great. They only want to see one thing. They want our country to come back. They're embarrassed by what's going on. Our country is laughed at. All over the world, they're laughing at us. And they want our country to come back. They want America, you know, they want us to be great again. It's a very simple. MAGA, make America great again. And America first. America first is a very important part of America. So we're going to put America first. We're going to make America great again. Again, Iowa, we love you. You are going to, you just go out and buy larger tractors and more land. Don't worry about it. And to all of the people standing behind me and all of the people in this room, so many great politicians and great dignitaries and friends, I just want to thank you all. This is a very special night. And this is the first, because the big night is going to be in November when we take back our country, and truly, we do make our country great again. Thank you very much, everybody. Great honor. Thank you very much.
So we just heard former President Trump addressing his win in Iowa tonight on the podium right behind us at the Trump campaign headquarters here in Des Moines, Iowa. And he did address the margin that he's seemingly winning right now, saying that it's the third time that he's won and it's the biggest yet. He says he might be doubling or tripling the 12% margin that's on record in Iowa history for winning the candidate. Meanwhile, we also heard him actually taking a softer tone when addressing his competitors in the GOP race. For example, we've been hearing him attacking DeSantis, Haley, and recently Ramaswamy in his speeches and True Social posts. But just now, he started by first, of course, thanking Iowans for supporting him, but also saying that he thinks both DeSantis and Haley have done a great job, have both did very well, and also praised Vivek Ramaswamy for doing a hell of a job, saying that he went from 0 to 8% tonight. So we did hear Trump kind of taking a softer tone right now on his competitors, as of course he's touting his own victory in this race. And in addition to addressing his victory tonight, he also went on to address a lot of domestic and foreign policy issues that he has been telling voters throughout this whole campaign. For example, we heard him talking about the border, again vowing to start a mass deportation in American history, also vowed to continue building the wall, saying it's going to add another 200 miles to it. Of course, he also talked about the energy policy, saying it's going to start drilling more in this country, of course, but targeting Biden, meanwhile, saying that President Biden is the worst president, of course, and also referring to the indictments against Trump himself, saying that it's election interference. Also citing a poll tonight when it comes to these caucus goers, saying that a majority of them actually think the election results in 2020 are not honest. So we also heard him addressing election integrity this year and this year's election, saying we're going to go forward with more paper ballots and also voter ID, try to maintain election integrity. Of course, other items on the agenda, economy, foreign policy, and working with Democrats to rebuild our city. So a combination of addressing our domestic and foreign policy, of course, touting his victory tonight from right here at the Trump headquarters. Back to you.
Iris, thank you for that, and we'll be back with more coverage right after this very short break.
You know, these kids grow so fast. Cherish every little moment you get with them. Tyler, he's 10, and little Daryl, he's 12. Being a single dad, it is hard, really hard. I've been there since day one. I know how it is, you know, not to have nothing. I don't really get paid much. There's been times I went hungry, made sure they ate. There ain't a thing I wouldn't do for them.
Millions of our neighbors are facing hunger. Rising food prices are making it tougher to put food on the table. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
At least now I know I gotta, help if I need it.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. We are getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you're a part of a movement working together to ensure that everyone has the food and resources we all need to thrive.
If you're hungry, if they got it, they'll feed you. People just got to realize, places like this do exist that will help you.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
Freedom is not free, and neither is the truth. In order to bring you the facts, our reporters are out there on the front lines getting the true story. Some of them served 10 years of prison in China. We've been censored on social media. Our Hong Kong printing offices were set on fire, and we've been repeatedly attacked by the Chinese Communist Party. But no matter what, we believe that you deserve the truth, and so we'll continue to bring the truth to life. Head on over to getepic.com and try honest journalism that is based in truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because it felt like a failure. And then I realized, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
And we're back with more coverage of the Iowa caucuses. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier.
And back at the desk with us is Terry Schilling and Lieutenant Rogers. Great to have you both. Terry, former President Trump just gave quite the speech, flanked by a lot of his campaign advisors, surrogates, and others, folks that have endorsed him. Something that struck me was that it was more of a humble Trump. It seemed genuine and authentic the way he typically would sarcastically thank his competitors, or it actually seems somewhat sincere and earnest. What did you think?
Look, I think he wants to win. I think he understands that he has the support of the Republican Party. He wants us to go into this united. He was very gracious. He was very humble. But I want to point something out. If you have that map, if you see it later today,
we can pull it up.
The thing is, if you do an event in all 99 counties, they call it the full Grassley. What do they call it when you win all 99 counties? I think they got to call it the full Trump, right? I mean, I don't think anyone's ever won all 99 counties. This is an absolute record, and I think it goes back to his message that he was just talking about. It wasn't just about unity. It was about solving the biggest crises that Americans are facing right now. The border, the gas pump, our home, our groceries, right? Our housing prices, all the threats to our kids. He's hitting everything on the head here, and voters are obviously rewarding him for it.
And Lieutenant, on that note, we did hear Trump cover a lot of ground. He did take a lot of time to thank the people who voted for him and also his family. He spent a lot of time on that. Do you see that as playing into his policies if he does become the 47th president?
Well, I believe he was sincere. I tell you, I was genuinely pleased over the fact that he talked about unity. He started off with unity, and he did mention Democrats and Republicans and independents to bring the people together in this country, which goes into his family, too. He wants people to know, he may be rough out there on the road, but he's also a father and he's a husband. And the tone, if he just stays with that tone and he stays with that theme and talks about unity and talks about his policies and his successes, he wins.
That's no doubt about that. Yeah. Terry, what else? I mean, in that speech, you saw he gave some shout outs to some of the folks there. One of them, the Attorney General of Iowa, who kind of defied her camp, the governor who Kim Reynolds endorsed DeSantis. He also highlighted the border, and he called it an invasion. We were just talking about that before his speech. Is this politics, or is this something that is real that the American people truly are concerned about?
No, look, there's absolutely an invasion on our southern border. The Democrats have created this crisis on purpose. I don't know if it's to milk the system or get more cheap labor here, or if it's to just bring a whole new influx of people that have really no understanding of what it means to be an American or don't even value it. But it is happening, and the American people are seeing it, and they want it to be addressed.
And we're getting a word right now that Governor Ron DeSantis is currently in the process of giving a speech. We're
A
going to cut to him
basic
now.
decency. We've got hardworking people, God-fearing people, patriotic people. You just don't see it every day because of all the nonsense that gets spewed out there by the media, by social media, all this other stuff. People want to have hope for this country's future, and that's what we represent. We represent a chance to reverse the madness that we've seen in this country, to reverse the decline of this country, and to give this country a new birth of freedom and a restoration of sanity. That's what we are going to do. So we have our marching orders. Our marching orders are to do all we can to preserve what George Washington called the sacred fire of liberty. The same fire that burned in Philadelphia in 1776 when our founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence. The same sacred fire of liberty that burned at a cemetery in Gettysburg when our first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, pledged our nation to a new birth of freedom. The same sacred fire of liberty that was on the beaches of Normandy in 1944 when our band of brothers stormed those shores and helped free the world. The same sacred fire of liberty that was at the Berlin Wall in 1987 when Ronald Reagan stood there and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." This is our responsibility, to carry this torch and to preserve this sacred fire of liberty. Don't run away from this responsibility. We welcome this responsibility. We thank you for your effort. We thank you for your support. You helped us get a ticket punched out of the Hawkeye State. We have a lot of work to do, but I can tell you this, as the next President of the United States, I am going to get the job done for this country. I am not going to make any excuses, and I guarantee you this, I will not let you down. Thank you all. God bless you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Let's bring out the First Lady.
If you still believe in the American dream, then never back down. Never back down.
And there you have Governor Ron DeSantis giving a speech after somewhat overperforming in the polls. As Roman Balmakov pointed out earlier, it's not about what place you're coming in, it's about the margin. And he seemed to have outperformed Nikki Haley in Iowa thus far. You will see there on our screen, it looks like Vivek Ramaswamy has suspended his campaign. And along with doing so, he's endorsed former President Trump. So that's pretty big news right there. I don't know if we'll be hearing from him anytime soon, but we'll be sure to bring it to you as it comes in. But in the meantime, NTD's Arlene Richards is on the ground at the DeSantis headquarters, right there where you're watching right now. We're going to go to her for an update. Looks like the feed, Arlene, is not going to be joining us right now. We're going to continue to watch this feed as the governor of Florida departs the stage. And here we are, folks. A couple of big moments. Former President Trump giving his speech, DeSantis his. Looks like he's not going to be dropping out anytime soon. What do you make of Vivek Ramaswamy dropping out this soon and endorsing former President Trump?
Well, we said it earlier before he did it, that he probably would drop out and join the Trump team, and he did. But DeSantis' speech was very good, very exciting. Again, talked about unity, but talked about a future for America. No baggage, nothing negative. Let's go on, and let's go on to victory. So he's certainly not going to drop out soon. And now we're going to have to see what Haley says.
Terry, what do you think?
Similar sentiment. I think Vivek, his call to suspend the campaign isn't a surprise. I think that the other campaigns are going to have to really do some assessments, right? They're going to have to look at what they did in Iowa and why it played out the way it did. And I mean, they got a very short fuse here to turn things around in New Hampshire, and then you got South Carolina. I just don't see anything changing going forward.
It's going to be interesting with Vivek now becoming an advocate for former President Trump, how that will play into the future here. But right now, let's check in with Roman back at the Data Hub. Roman.
That's right, Steve. This is pretty much what we're going to be seeing tonight, 93% of the vote in. And I will tell you, out of the possibilities for tonight, in terms of Donald Trump, this was his best case scenario. 51% of the vote, a plurality, about an exact 30-point spread between him and the second place, Ron DeSantis. I mean, this is pretty much the strongest result he could have realistically expected. And he got it. 51% of the vote is very strong heading into New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina. It really sort of cements his lead as the Republican candidate of choice heading into all those other elections in Super Tuesday. The second victor is, of course, Ron DeSantis. He was expected to be number 3 with 16% of the vote, 21%, 93% of the votes counted. It might shift up and down a few percentage points, but this is pretty solid already. So 21%, that's a pretty solid overperformance over what the polls are showing. So good for him. He'll be able to sort of paint that narrative as the second viable candidate heading into New Hampshire. Let me show you something here. So in 8 days, we're going to have the New Hampshire primary. So prior to tonight, Nikki Haley was looking like a very strong prospect. Christie had dropped out, and Christie actually was polling about 10% in New Hampshire prior to dropping out. After he dropped out, a lot of those votes were likely heading to Nikki Haley, making her spread between her and Donald Trump very, very close. Within, I believe the latest poll I saw, something like within 4 to 8 percentage points, something like that. Now, not exactly clear. I mean, now she has a lot of headwinds heading into New Hampshire. You never know, but yeah, for sure. The clear winner today is Donald Trump. Second victor, if you want to call it that way, Ron DeSantis. Vivek Ramaswamy, of course, suspended his campaign. These 7% will likely be heading to Donald Trump. So realistically, you can say it's 60% with that sort of math. And yeah, these are the numbers as of right now. It's been great presenting them to you. Otherwise, stay tuned until New Hampshire. We have 8 days. Then South Carolina, Nevada 2 weeks after that, South Carolina 2 weeks after that, and Super Tuesday 2 weeks after that. So goodbye, my friends, and check out this commercial that's about to play before you head on back to the desk.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now, Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
the difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one get one free offer goes away.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane. Woo! You got this.
The highest art is beautiful, breathtaking, timeless, experience art with 5,000 years of history, inspired by the divine. Experience Shen-Yun.
And welcome back to The Nation Decides 2024. I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier.
We've got with us Robert Trafalgar, Chief Pollster at the Trafalgar Group, Robert Cahaley. And of course, we have Bart Marcois still with us here. Guys, what did you think of the news that broke with the multiple speeches? Robert, by the way, Trafalgar Group, one of the only pollsters out there that predicted or polled that DeSantis would come in second place in this caucus.
Yeah, we put out a tracking late last night, early this morning, that showed DeSantis moving back ahead. And right now we're about 0.2 points off on Trump, 1.9 off on DeSantis, 0.7 off on Haley, and 0.6 off on Vivek. So it's pretty good.
Talk to us about your methodology.
Well, we measured voter intensity really strong. And we also are ones who kind of really started talking about the social desirability bias back in 2016, where people wouldn't say they're for Trump who were. And Nikki Haley was one of those candidates people have said they were for but didn't end up voting for. And we saw that as well. So we saw the lack of intensity for her, the fact that mostly Democrats and independents were for her and had no motivation, and just this idea that she was going to be 4 or 5 points ahead just did not make any sense to us.
Bart, if I could get your thoughts on the state of the race now.
Yeah.
Vivek is now out endorsing former President Trump. Now you have Nikki and DeSantis. Does it fundamentally now boil down to popularity, money? Tell us.
It boils down to money in a big, big way. There are lots of primaries that happen nationally. I call them primaries. There's the money primary, there's the talent primary, that getting the best organizers and so forth, and then there are the actual election primaries. But the money primary is about to dry up for Nikki Haley. Her whole surge has been fueled by money coming mostly from the left. Most of it is coming from either liberal, left of center Republicans, or from far left Democrats and leftists who just want to muck around in the Republican primary. She's gotten a lot of criticism today and yesterday for not answering, can a man become a woman? It's a very simple question, and she talked all around it. Well, the reason she's not answering is she's paid not to answer that question. I'm exaggerating by saying that, but I'm saying it to make a point. A lot of the donations, the huge multi-million-dollar donations she's gotten, are from people who want to see her take a more leftist tack. Those donations are going to dry up now because they see there is no path for her to become president.
Bart Marcois, Robert Cahaley, thank you guys so much for joining us. Really insightful commentary. Right now, we are going to toss it to Roger Simon, who is at the Ramaswamy campaign headquarters in Iowa. Roger, what is the vibe there with Vivek opting out of the race and endorsing former President Trump?
Go? Okay. All right, well, let me say this evening has ended with great drama because Vivek Ramaswamy has suspended his campaign. Now, I know Vivek pretty well. In fact, I can almost say he's a friend of mine. And I spoke with him very briefly before I got on the air here. And he's right behind me right now in a crush of admirers. Every one of them that I have talked to sees this man as the inheritor of the MAGA movement in 2028. And his dust up with Trump ended immediately almost, because he and Trump are campaigning together in New Hampshire in a day. So all of that stuff was a bunch of, campaign baloney. But what I told Vivek personally is something I wrote in the Epic Times, and that is, if Trump offers him a good job, he should take it, because Vivek has talked about going back into business, but this man is a natural politician, and he should take a job with Trump in the administration or even the vice presidency, so that he is there for the 2028 campaign. That's all I have to say here from Des Moines, Iowa.
Thank you for that report, Roger. At the Vivek Ramaswamy headquarters. So it looks like Nikki Haley is actually addressing her crowd.
No more endless votes for House Speaker, because we'll have a huge House majority. We'll term limit the do-nothing Washington politicians. We'll rebuild our economy and secure our border. No more excuses. And make no mistake, we will restore our national pride. We are blessed to live in America, and it's time that we remember that. And as we head to New Hampshire, I have one more thing to say. We're going to win! Underestimate me, because that's always fun. I love you, Iowa, but we're on to New Hampshire. Some people I need to thank. Right here in Iowa, we have so many great supporters, and I only have time to mention a few, but it's important. Marlis Popma. Many of you know and love Marlis, who has been a conservative fighter her entire career. State Senator Chris Knoyer, our amazing state chair, who has been hustling all over the state, but she has been a fantastic friend. Thank you, Chris, for all that you've done. Our state rep, Austin Harris, our very first endorsement in Iowa. He believed in us when not a lot of people did. Marianne Hanusa, who helped us organize across the state, but particularly in Southwest Iowa. Dawn Roberts. Dawn has made more calls and recruited more caucus captains than anyone else. Thank you, Dawn. Emily Schmidt and Rachel Gillenfeld are amazing women for Nikki chairs. Bill and Connie Funk. Y'all have been amazing friends. Thank you for everything. I truly do love you both. Thank you. great mayor of Nevada, Brett Barker, who helped us organize in Story County. And I want to thank the many people who got out in the cold, and it's cold, and knocked on those doors. You are true patriots, and you made a difference in this race, and I will forever be thankful. And we have some people who went through a lot of travel hurdles to get here. But I got to tell you, I've got 3 friends who continue to show up every time. Congressman Ralph Norman, thank you, thank you, thank you. Senator Tom Davis, who drove like 800 miles to be here. Representative Nathan Ballantyne, who's always been my partner in crime. Thank you, Iowa. We're going to continue on. We're going to make you proud, and we're
So
off
here
to
we
New
are.
Hampshire.
We got the feed from Nikki Haley's campaign headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa, where she's just wrapping up her speech. It's hard to tell what the energy was really like there. She did sort of underperform. If you look at the polls, she was predicted to come in second place, and right now you have Governor Ron DeSantis beating her by a small margin. But right now, I want to take us to a soundbite here of Vivek Ramaswamy, who conceded just a little while ago from this race.
As I've said since the beginning, there are 2 America First candidates in this race. And earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulate him on his victory, and now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country.
And this concludes the first caucus of the year. We just want to thank all of our guest panelists, Robert Cahaley, Bart Marcois, Terry Schilling, our reporters on the field. Everybody did a really great job. Lieutenant Rogers, Tiff, close us out.
We also want to thank our Epic Times columnist, Roger Simon, of course, Roman Balmakov with the Data Hub for us there, and Arlene Richards, who was also out there in Iowa. We're so glad you could all join us tonight, and obviously this election's just getting started. Make sure you join us as we cover future 2024 caucuses, primaries, and that final election with us here on The Nation Decides.
I'm Steve Lance.
And I'm Tiffany Meier.
From all of us at NTD, until next time, and good night.
A painting that has true beauty. I imagine it's like a door. The artist holds the key to open the door and bring people to a purer world. A world where people are more compassionate.